Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and welcome, people, to episode 192 of Dude and the Monkey. We've been away for a few weeks due to Christmas and things, and my work, and etc. I'm one of your hosts, Mark Foster, and as ever, I am joined by my co-host,
Ian Loring. Hello.
And what do we have this week, Ian?
It's our 2016 end of year show, midway through January.
Yeah, it is midway through January. So now that you're all bored of end of year shows and lists and all that crap, and you want to get back to all the nice spangly new films that are coming out, we're going to regale you with our best of and our worst and our surprises and also our sort of disappointments. As ever, the rules are obviously best and worst. You can't have one of your best that's also in your worst, but any of your surprises or your disappointments can't also be in your worst or best as well. So we usually do it, don't we? 5 disappointments, 5 surprises, 10 worst, and 10 best. Without further ado, we might as well just get straight into it, really, haven't we? Because there's not been that really much happen, has there?
Nah, we have to crack on.
We're going to do within it. We're going to do mild spoiler alert, I suppose, for what will be on our list. But we are going to do more detailed kind of reviews of both Silence and La La Land, because we were actually planning to do reviews of those films on other shows, but like I say, mainly due, to be honest, to my working situation at the moment being a bit hectic, we'll say, end up having to postpone that. So we might give you a little bit more on Silence than we might have done previous, and the same for La La Land. Ian, do you want to get us kicked off as I try and get a big magnet that I somehow got stuck to my chair off it? With your number 10, please, sir.
So, as always, I did the top 20.
Yeah.
So, shall I just run through the 20 to 11?
Yeah, go on then.
Cool. So my number 20 was Zootropolis/Zootopia. Number 19, Pete's Dragon. 18, Green Room. 17, A Bigger Splash. 16, The Girl with All the Gifts. 15, Moana. 14, Hunt for the Wilder People. 13, Youth. 12, a film I literally finished watching 45 minutes ago, The Handmaiden. Park Chan-wook's new one, which is fucking filth.
Yes.
We'll talk about it when you see it. And 11, Arrival.
Oh, very nice.
So
very nice.
My number 10 is a film that won't be appearing on your best of list, might be on your worst of, The Witch.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, I'm going to say my piece.
I think you should say your piece.
Yeah, I think The Witch is wonderful. It's a film which is emphatically its director's vision. The framing, the language used, the Black Phillip.
Bit racist.
Wait. Blokey from The Office getting a really good and meaty part as the dad. Anya Taylor-Joy is very, very good, and I can't like that. The fact that that's not even close to a real accent is astonishing. Kate Dickie is good, which she has a tendency of not being in some things. And yeah, I am a massive fan of The Witch. I find it very tense, incredibly atmospheric, and the ending is fucking fantastic because it's both happy and kind of disturbing at the same time. I think it's a very, 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 very solid film, and is the only film on my list that you would typically call a horror film. So in a way, it's my favourite horror film of the year, even though I wrote about another film on the website which I called the year's best horror film, even though no one's talking about it as a horror film, and that's coming up later in my list.
And the same film, I agree with you on the fact that it is a horror film.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So that's my number 10, it's The Witch.
Cool, very good, very good. Nice one to start off with there. My number 10 is Richard Linklater's spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused. Everybody Wants Some.
That would literally be like 21 or 22 on my list.
Would it? Yeah. I wonder where it'd be on yours, actually, for that. I thought, to be honest, at the time, I thought this is going to be in my top 10. When I watched that, I thought I'd be very surprised if it's in my top 10. I didn't think it was going to end up being sort of 1 to 5, but I did very much think that it's going to be around my top 10 somewhere. And then, as I got further away from it, I started to think maybe it was just the fact that it was a Linklater film, the fact that it reminded me so much of Dazed and Confused and things like that. Maybe that's clouded my imagery a bit. And then I rewatched it and actually enjoyed it more on a second watch. I was kind of putting off a second watch. I thought I might end up enjoying it less, and it might end up feeling its length and kind of lagging a little bit, which it absolutely didn't. I thoroughly enjoyed it on my second watch. It's that mixture of feel-good sort of party time things with also setting it in a very specific sort of time period and making the time period be, I don't want to use say something as wanky as almost a character within the film, because it's not really in this type of film. Whereas in something like Boogie Nights, the eras are characters and kind of touch points within that. They're not in this. It's set in, I think, 1980, and it feels like it could be an 80s or a 70s movie. You're not quite sure, but it's the camaraderie that works really well, and the kind of the college psychology of it all. And I think one of the best scenes in the or sequences in the entire film is when they're actually playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a wonderful little section because it's the one time where they're not being kind of jerks and dicks to each other, and it's the one time where there's no kind of one-upmanship within them. And when one of them does go for the one-upmanship, he kind of gets put in his place. But then the minute he kind of apologises, it's just that's cool. And it shows that, do you know what, he might be an arsehole, but he's our arsehole kind of mentality of it all. And I just thought it was a really sweet and nice film to watch, and I enjoyed spending time with the characters, which, for that type of film, it's exactly what you're supposed to get out of it. You don't learn anything from it, there's no life lessons to take from it. It is just a good time with characters that I suppose I was happy I spent time with.
Yeah, I mean, it did ever so slightly dip for me, even though I think it was a very good breather for Linklater after Boyhood. That film being such a kind of an epic mission to actually get going, and then like the kind of like award season trail Linklater had to go on. I think that Everybody Wants Some is a very good way to kick back and relax. It's just, it did dip for me on a rewatch, but like I say, like literally it would be 21, 22 on my list. It's the films in my list are the films in my list, but it would have been close.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 9 is Kubo and the Two Strings, which was my favourite animated film of the year. To be fair, there were two animated films in my 20 to 11, Zootropolis and Moana, so solid fucking year for animation, frankly. But I think Kubo kind of takes it for me. It's a film that combines... It kind of feels like if Ghibli went CG, what they would be doing would be quite close to what you've got here. But made in America with an American voice cast. But it's got that Ghibli kind of sensibility to it. It's the visuals are wonderfully creative. The idea of Kubo kind of playing his little guitar instrument and kind of like creating the stories through that is a lovely little idea. I mean, you could say that maybe some of the plot stuff you see coming, but it's the fact that it's as powerful as it is when it does come, I think, is a testament to how involved you get in the plight of Kubo, and those around him. It's also got one of the best endings of the year for me. The kind of the moral at the heart of it, of not always having to follow what you were in the past, and just because you've gone down a particular road doesn't mean you are defined by it. In the case of one particular character in the film, is a wonderful moral, which I think in the times in which we find ourselves is a heartening one to take on, that, you know, people can change and people can be better, and let's hope that certain powerful people in the world could somehow see that. I doubt it, but who knows? So yeah, Kubo and the Two Strings. It's and the thing is with it as well, it was directed by the head of Leica. I think his name is Travis Knight. It's Travis something, and I believe basically his father. It's a little bit of a Megan Ellison kind of thing, where his father is a very big player in US business, and essentially he was kind of being essentially he bankrolled his son and bankrolled Leica by extension. But the fact that you've got the studio head kind of or production company head doing this, but it not coming off as a project of ego, is heartening, and I think he shows tremendous skill here. So yeah, I mean, Leica, man, I mean, like, I didn't get on with Coraline, even though I do want to rewatch it, because I think Paranorman, The Box Trolls, and Kubo are three really, really, really top draw films for family audiences, which are I think do compete with the best of Pixar. But I mean, I think they maybe even have even more of their own identity. Like, you maybe because of the box office performance, but you don't ever hear talk of sequels to Leica films. And I mean, certainly in the case of Coraline, I think they could have. But they don't. I don't think they chase the money. It feels like the Pixar of getting on for 20 years ago. And good on them. So yeah, Kubo and the Two Strings, it's wonderful.
Yeah, incidentally, Travis Knight's dad's film night of Nike.
There you go.
It's fucking Nike.
There you go.
Yeah, but we said it before about the Megan Ellison thing, and obviously you've got that there. You know, there's been, I think, some kind of really warped criticism of saying, oh, well, you know, they're just playing around with daddy's money. It's like, all right, fuck it. Yeah, I don't care. They want to play around with daddy's money and give us something as good as, for instance, Kubo and the Two Strings. Fine.
Yeah, I mean...
That's a lot better. That's a lot better than some things that people fucking do with daddy's money. And, you know, Megan Ellison, you know, she bankrolls, you know, some... We wouldn't get a new Paul Thomas Anderson movie if it wasn't for Megan Ellison saying, I want to see the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, I'm going to go in it. Because, do you know what? Paul Thomas Anderson films have never made money, ever.
And I mean...
That's how these things happen.
And also, her production company have one of the best logos in the business at the moment. The Annapurna Pictures VHS-y kind of thing is immense.
It's nice. However, I did notice that the new Summit logo and ident before films now is very nice.
Oh, is that... Are they... What, the one before La La Land?
Yeah.
Are they actually... I thought that was kind of like just for that film.
If that isn't just what it is now, then they are missing a trick.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yes. Cool, right, so that was your number 8 then.
Yeah.
Kubo and the Two Strings, a good choice. Instantly, Kubo and the Two Strings was my number 13.
Oh, sorry, it's my number 9, bud.
That was number 9, of course, yes, number 9. It was my number 13, was Kubo and the Two Strings.
Nice.
There. So, my number 9 is a movie that will not be on, I don't think, anyone else's top lists. And it is Anton Fuqua's The Magnificent Seven.
Fucking hell, righto.
Yeah.
The film I got raped in my seat for.
Yes. It was, wasn't it? Of course it was, yeah. Anyone who wants context of that, we're not going to give you it. Go back and listen to our Magnificent Seven review. So, directed by Anton Fuqua, a remake of The Magnificent Seven, which in itself is a kind of remake of Seven Samurai. And it's starring, I mean, what a cast. Denzel Washington, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio doing a really strange voice in it. I still can't work out how halfway through it's like he decided or Anton Fuqua decided that voice is too fucking weird, man. And they just kind of don't drop it. They just change it ever so slightly. I had a tremendous amount of fun with the movie, but I also thought it ended incredibly well. The fact that they gave it consequence was very nice. They could have kind of almost altered history a little bit with it and given it a happier spin, a more 12A sort of millennial spin on it, and had pretty much everybody survive, but they didn't. They killed people off in very much he's dead then, and he's dead, and he's dead. And it feels a little bit like this year we kind of got the return of the Western that we've all been hoping for the past sort of few years, because we've had the occasional sort of good Western with things like Django coming out, which was fantastic. But what they've always done is they've held in kind of false dawns, and then the Western's been something that people have been trying to get back off the ground. Really, I'd say since the early '90s, when you had things like Tombstone and Last Man Standing and things like that. And what they ended up doing was they ended up being almost westerns. Whereas Magnificent Seven, along with if you almost can count Hateful Eight into things like that, A Valley of Violence, which was not a terrible film, was actually a pretty solid film. That was a western, and then Hell and High Water is a western just because it's not set in the old west doesn't stop it from being a western. It does feel like we've kind of got that back, and people are not trying to make just flashy westerns. People are trying to make full-on westerns, and I really, really like Magnificent Seven. It surprised me how much I enjoyed it. So yeah, it's number 9 on my list.
That fucker's out on 4K in a couple of weeks.
That will look fucking beautiful on 4K.
Yeah, Blu-ray.com have got a really positive review of the 4K. The thing is, I'm not going to spend 25 quid on it.
No, it's one of those, if you ever see it for like 12, 15 quid pop up on somewhere, there that you could buy it on that. Or if it comes up 4K, obviously, on Netflix at some point or anything like that.
Yeah.
Did you see that there's a definitive director's edition, just going tangenting slightly during
Of Heat?
Of Heat? Yes. Are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking on that?
What?
That motherfucker better come onto iTunes finally.
Yeah, I started buying physical media again during our little break. Yeah.
Blu-ray?
Yeah, I may have bought an Xbox One for the 4K player again.
And so you've...
But that's the thing, and it was kind of because of Heat.
Was it?
Yeah, because I was looking on I was just having a look on Blu-ray.com, and they were talking about the Heat Definitive Edition. It was like, right, okay, from a 4K master, it's got a conversation between Christopher Nolan and Michael Mann that's about 50 minutes long on the Blu-ray. Okay, cool. Where's the pre-order on iTunes? Yeah. No, there isn't one. Not only that, Heat's not available. Couple that with my insistence. I have tweeted Warner Brothers Pictures several times over the last year saying, "Where's my Zodiac director's cut on iTunes at?"
Yeah.
Also, Alien is going to be on 4K before Alien Covenant is released. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
and I do kind of need that. And the thing is, I picked up Lucy on 4K because Amazon had it for £13.49, which for a 4K is really good.
Yeah.
And they've started doing 2 for £30 in HMV and Amazon on 4K as well. So it's coming down. And Lucy is from a 4K DI, and it looks fucking amazing. The black freckly things around Morgan Freeman's eyes have never looked more terrifying.
That's incredible.
I'm serious though. Like like they are so clear. It's ridiculous. They are so clear.
So have you pre-ordered? So you pre-ordered Heat then?
Oh mate, all over it. All over it. Because the thing is, they're not bringing out a 4K Blu-ray of it yet.
See, I'm on a Blu-ray ban I've put myself on, but I'm waiting, and if it doesn't just crop up on iTunes, then I'll be buying that day one, because I want to watch that definitive edition, and also I want to watch that 50-minute conversation between Nolan and Mann, because I could listen to either of those guys talk for 50 minutes about film, them two talking to each other. Michael Mann actually is just an incredibly fascinating guy to listen to talk about film. It's incredible, especially when you go back through like his history of how he kind of got into film, where he came to the UK and worked as a journalist in the UK, and ended up taking up sort of film journalism from there. Not film journalism had been a film writer, but making journalistic films, much in the same way as Paul Greengrass did. So it's fascinating how he did that, and both of them have this meticulous nature to them that kind of lends itself very well to those types of things.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, it's the thing is, I know they're actually going to announce a 4K Blu-ray for it at some point, but I mean, also,
what's the thing is? You'll watch the Blu-ray, you'll watch the documentary, then if you want, when the 4K comes out in 6 months, 8 months, or a year's time, you can sell the Blu-ray. You'll probably still get a $5 for it, and you can buy the 4K, and you'll watch the 4K again. It's not like it's something that you'd never watch again. So you can feel perfectly justified in going, do you know what? I'm buying that because I want to watch the film, and I want to watch the features now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And oh god, since I last had a 4K player, they brought out Goodfellas.
Ooh, yes, that transfer's very nice, apparently, isn't it?
It's a 4K scan, and Blu-ray.com give the transfer 1 out of 5.
Oh.
Apparently, the calibration against which they've made the transfer was completely fucked. And the black levels are really, really wrong. And apparently the Blu-ray of that new 4K scan that came out last year is actually a better watch than the 4K.
The Blu-rays, the new Blu-ray that came out last year is supposed to look incredible.
Yeah. Apparently, it's something to do with the HDR, because they're applying HDR to everything, even when it didn't originally have HDR, and that apparently they really fucked the dog with it on Goodfellas. But I don't know. It'll probably be a tenner at some point, then I'll pick it up and see. But anyway, my number 8.
Yes, your number 8.
The aforementioned Hell or High Water.
We'll come there.
Alright, fuck it, we'll talk about it then. Alright, your number 8, sir.
My number 8 is Deadpool.
Wow, okay.
Yes, it's my number 8. I loved Deadpool. I absolutely did love Deadpool, and I think it's fantastic. Does it appear there on your list, or is it well outside of that?
No, I mean, Deadpool and Civil War would both be in a top 25, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, not quite.
Yeah, Deadpool. It was in mine. I originally, what I kind of do is a lot of the time with place number 10 is sometimes the place number 10 I reserve for something that I look at and go, do you know what? The films in 11, 12, 13, 14 might be better, but I enjoyed that more. And originally I was thinking that would be what it was for Deadpool. But when I actually started making my list and I was narrowing it down and down and down, and I got to like a 14, 15, it sat in at number 8 quite nicely. And I thought, do you know what? I'm happy that it's there. And it's a film that I was very much looking forward to. It's a film that I was very much behind. And it was also a film that I very much enjoyed the fact that it didn't just suck, which should have put it in surprises. But actually, it's a really good movie. It's a really fun movie. It's kind of it's given a prod to a lot of things, and it's aligned a lot of the myths, I suppose, about the way that we can approach comic book movies. In the fact is, well, they've got to be 12A. You won't have an R-rated comic book movie that'll work. You know, we tried it when we had things like The Spirit and things like that didn't fucking work. And they'll point to all those. Well, Deadpool kind of points to it and says, do you know what? If you do it right, it'll work. It's not. Deadpool didn't succeed. And they nailed the marketing for it. They generated such a buzz for people going to see it that it genuinely, when you see the bullshit of the worldwide phenomenon on trailers and you think, not really sure that's a phenomenon, but carry on. Deadpool did kind of become a bit of a phenomenon. It took February and it went, hey, fuck you. And it's almost that and the previous year's 50 Shades of Grey have kind of made February into a, right, that's a hot shit spot now. And it's deserved all the praise and all the money and everything that it's made. And, you know, number two's got a lot to live up for, and already it's going through tour productions. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Deadpool. It was well worth the wait, and I'm just glad that it wasn't just clever marketing. There was actually a really fun and enjoyable movie at the end of it there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm in agreement, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of I've seen it twice. I look forward to another watch. I'm intrigued to see what they do with the sequel. I thought the action was, I mean, it was funny and it was entertaining, and the opening sequence was very good. But the I don't know, the film was quite dreary in its colour palette, and I remember it all being very grey. And I've got a feeling that, and just like the whole, okay, we've got an action sequence in a shipping yard, we got an action sequence on a motorway, but it feels very much like a closed off bit of motorway. I don't know, that I'm looking forward to the bigger budget, and they're kind of trying to push things a bit more with the second one, even if Reynolds has kind of said he still wants to keep the dark comedy heart at the centre of it, which is absolutely the right thing to do. But I'm looking forward to them pushing it.
It will. I mean, an extra 10 million put into that movie to polish up the effects would have had a positive impact. But the fact is that they didn't think it was. They thought it was maybe going to just about make its money back.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jesus
they could spend. I think the budget on the next one's only 100 million, which sounds crazy saying it's only 100 million, but the budget on that was about 40-50 million, so it's still double the budget. But even if that film bombs and makes 10 million, it's still in fucking profit.
Yeah, I mean, like, Deadpool 2 will be huge as long as they don't inflate the budget too much. But, I mean, good on it. It's the success story of the year in film, I think, really, isn't it? And fair play to all involved.
Yeah. Do you want to do our disappointments next? We've been quite positive. Let's be bastards now.
Sure.
And should we run down? And we'll do these one after each other. I think we usually do these, don't we?
Yeah.
One after each other for disappointments. So I'll go first, since you just went beyond the race. I'll go first on this. So disappointments. Not necessarily films that I didn't like, just films that I kind of expected more of, and then just didn't get what was billed, I will say. So my number 5 in disappointment is 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Wow. Okay.
A movie that is there. A lot of it is there because it kind of it was never conceived as a Cloverfield universe film. It was never conceived as being part of the Cloverfield now is a little bit like what John Carpenter wanted for Halloween after Halloween 2, which was to have a series of films called Halloween blah, and then not be about Michael Myers, then just be about Halloween and maybe have a nod to Myers within there, but essentially be spiritual films within that. And Ten Cloverfield Lane tried to pretend it was that, except it was just tagged on at the fucking end. So what we were told was we were getting 10 Cloverfield Lane. Oh, it's a Cloverfield movie. It's a Cloverfield movie, but it's not like a sequence like that. But it's a Cloverfield movie. And what we actually got was a Mary Elizabeth Winstead being haunted by John Goodman movie. And I kind of feel, do you know what? If that was the movie and you'd advertised that and it was just called The Bunker or something like that, I'd have probably got a lot more out of it. But the shameless for marketingness of it left a bad taste in my mouth, and that is why it is number 5 in my disappointment.
I like 10 Cloverfield Lane. I'm looking forward to rewatching it. But anyway,
that's fine. I will actually rewatch it at some point, but it disappointed me in its cynicism of not being able to believe in itself.
Fair enough. My number 5 is Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, which they should have never gone back.
Never gone back.
I mean, the first Jack Reacher is a really fun, pulpy, kind of old school throwback thriller.
Actually, yeah.
Which, you know, I mean, like Robert Duvall teaming up with Tom Cruise at the end is fun. Werner Herzog popping up as the Zek is gold, and you know, it's got some good twisty turny stuff going on in it. Jack Reacher Never Go Back feels like the pilot episode of a TV series spin-off of Jack Reacher. It doesn't feel like a film.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And
that's a perfect summarization of it, actually.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know. Like, it palpably feels like there's less production value. Cruise doesn't really seem to care all that much, which is weird considering it's all a massive like passion project for him. Kobe Smulders kind of shows why she's not really on the big screen all that much, which maybe sounds a bit harsh and probably is, but hey,
it's not. She's one of the most. She's fine, but she's so incredibly vanilla and pedestrian.
Yeah, I mean, but she's fine. I don't know. It feels like a sequel no one was particularly asking for, and it came, and now I think Paramount are basically just saying, right, Mission Impossible 6, fucking do it.
Yeah.
Never go back.
Cool. Okay, my number 4 in our disappointments is Now You See Me 2. I really enjoyed Now You See Me. I thought it was a movie that kind of came out of nowhere. Ended up being a little bit of a slow burning hit, really. The first Now You See Me, and then Now You See Me 2 came out. Came out really, really late. It came out like nobody actually asked for a sequel, but there were a few people going, "All right, I'm all right with a sequel. I'll definitely take a sequel." Mm-hmm. And then you watch the sequel and go, "Yeah, I didn't want a sequel. That's boring." It was just dull. It alters your opinion on the first one because you go from Mark Ruffalo being the infallible guy to being the incredibly fallible guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's rubbish. Like, his character is just kind of useless, and in the first one, he's like the master manipulator. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
It twists that. Whereas the first one, it was a lot of tricks that seemed, and illusions that seemed kind of feasible for what they were doing. So you had, when they were obviously became the Four Horsemen, the illusions and the tricks got bigger because they had more money behind them. But when you saw them essentially doing their mini kind of street magic, whereas now you see the two, it was just right. We've got a little bit more money. Let's just CGI the fuck out of all these illusions. We can do whatever we want. We can have him disappear into rainwater and things like that. It all just felt a little bit lazy. Oh well, I'll write this. Well, can that trick actually be done? It don't matter. We'll do it with CG. Oh right. Fuck it. And it felt a little bit like that. I spent like the first 10 minutes of it going. Did Frank win the first one? Before I remembered it, yes, he was in the first one. Lizzie Kaplan didn't work at all. She was too Lizzie Kaplan in it. Yeah, it's just a real disappointment, and it was dull. It should have been dull.
Yeah, I mean, are we doing a bottom 10 or a bottom 5 this year?
I think we're doing a bottom. I've done a bottom 10, but I
yeah,
can do
okay,
a bottom 5. But I've done a bottom 10.
It's in my bottom 10. I'll just say it's my number 10.
It's number 10. Oh,
yeah,
right.
no, it's fucking rubbish.
It is fucking rubbish.
Yeah, okay, so my number 4 is Oliver Stone's Snowden. A film which feels entirely pointless. I mean,
I've still not seen it.
Citizen 4 is perfectly good enough. It's weird. It's the second Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a real-life guy, but you may as well watch the documentary about the real-life guy in 2 years.
It is, yeah.
Man on Wire is better than The Walk. Yes, The Walk has The Walk, but apart from The Walk is rubbish. Snowden, it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt doing a voice for absolutely no reason because the guy doesn't even sound like that. I mean, that is a mental choice from him. I don't know what he was doing. Nicolas Cage.
I think he was trying to do Edward Snowden's voice and just didn't quite make it.
No. Oh my god. I mean, Nicolas Cage rocks up for a few scenes and is the least Cage he's been in years. And what's the point in getting Nicolas Cage these days if you're not going to get him to be Cage?
Cage. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, the thing is, the reason why it's disappointing is because you got Oliver Stone doing political stuff again, and you want it to be firebrandy. You want it to be provocative, and this isn't. It's eulogizing a guy who is I don't know. I'm very very ambiguous on him myself. I totally see what he's doing, but
I think he very much. I think what he thinks he's doing is absolutely right, and I think that he is right in doing what he thinks is doing is right. It's just I'm not sure how right it actually is.
Yeah.
I think he's doing it for all the right reasons. His reasons are right. I'm just not sure he's willing to consider the reasons for why it might not be the right thing to do, which is different to it being right.
Yeah, I mean, like he's a perfect example of why things aren't always black and white. You know, he's a very grey area figure. Is Edward Snowden, and I mean, like Julian Assange used to be, but now it kind of seems like he's basically being fucked in the arse by Russia. So you know that is what it is as well. I mean, but fuck, Snowden's better than the Fifth Estate. I'll say that much. So even though the Fifth Estate had Daniel Bruhl, and he was actually quite good in that. So hey, yeah, and Shailene Woodley getting a really thankless part as the girlfriend as well. Yeah, it's not very good as Snowden, and I'm not surprised it sank without a trace.
It really didn't it? Yeah, I've still not seen it, so I might end up really fucking liking it.
Fair enough.
I also might end up really fucking hating it. So we shall see shortly when I watch it very soon.
Yeah.
My number 3 disappointment is Girl on the Train.
That's fair. Yeah, sure.
A book that you turned into a film where you could have made a very stylish and a very cool not cool as in the sense of fucking cool as in it having a remixed fucking Beyonce soundtrack or anything like that, but a really up to date, alright thriller is what you had there. That's kind of where the book's leaning towards. And you could have that mystery element of things like that all mixed in, and even the cast was all set out and was there to do that. What you end up getting is just this really grey, dreary looking plod along mystery where everybody is a bit of an arsehole in it. Nobody's that fucking nice in it. And by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, all right, well, it's kind of Rank the Bastard, and yeah, she's probably the least bastardy. But it was, do you know what? The film was actually better when she was the bastardiest, and when it twists that actually what's happened is Justin Theroux has kind of used her alcoholism to sort of twist it in his into his version of events being what's happened rather than it being that she's the bastard. It kind of lost it for me, and it made me go, no, the more interesting story is that it's not the fucking constantly trod, he's doing it, he's managed to manipulate it, he's the big bad. It was better when she was the big bad in it, and it would have made a better movie. Fair enough, the booking like that, but okay, you can change endings and shit like that. I felt once it did that, it trod too much of a familiar path and just ended up fizzling out. And like I say, when you're filming, when you've got that cast and you're filming at that scale, it shouldn't look like an ITV drama, and it did at points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I wasn't expecting much of it just because that the trailer, a teacher once told me I was the mistress of whatever the fuck. Self-reinvention. I like, as soon as I heard that, it was like, okay, we're in trouble here. But yeah, I don't know. It's Emily Blunt is so much better than everything around her in that fucking film. It's almost depressing.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, my number 3 is a film we were planning on reviewing. Back when Mark used to have something called Free Time. Assassin's Creed.
So not even worse. That hasn't made worse. There's 10 movies worse than that.
No, I mean it would have been it would have been close. I'd be tempted to say if I didn't review horror films for Vodzilla, it probably would be in there. But
just escape that fair.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'll talk a bit about Assassin's Creed then.
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward to this, despite the word, because Fassbender and Kurzel did Macbeth a couple years back, and that thing was fucking amazing. I love their version of Macbeth. There is imagery in that film that I still remember today, and massive fan of the opening titles in it as well, by the way. Which I kind of thought Assassin's Creed was going to ape at one point, because there's a bit of an opening crawl kind of thing. So, Assassin's Creed, I saw it last Saturday, literally this time last week, I was in the cinema watching it. In Dolby Atmos, which sounded very nice, by the way. And what's the story of Assassin's Creed? Can anyone tell you? Fassbender plays a guy who dies, or who's put to death, but then it turns out he's not put to death. He's actually in a facility called Aspergo, I think, where he's being kept by Marion Cotillard and Jeremy Irons, and they say to him, you can leave pretty much whenever you want, bud, but you're not gonna, because we're not gonna let you, even though we're saying we are. It's very passive-aggressive. And, oh god, what is it? Alright, so they are a part of an organisation of Templars who put Fassbender in the Animus, where he then lives out historical events that an ancestor of his lived through the Spanish Inquisition. and they're doing this because they want to find the Apple of Eden, which somehow can stop people from having free will. And the assassins are people who were against the Templars, and there's a bunch of other assassiny folk in the Institute who historically have been against Marion Cotillard and Jeremy Irons, except they're stuck in this place, so they're doing stuff for Marion Cotillard and Jeremy Irons, apart from when they're not, and when they're not, they're rioting for some reason, and they're helping Fassbender?
You see, you've seen it, and even you seem a little bit like, I'm not really sure what's going on here.
No, it's basically, people whose ancestors were the assassins are given, are taken to a place where their ancestors' enemies are keeping them captive, but their ancestors' enemies keep weapons in glass things all around them. So if they ever wanted to revolt, they would just have to get the weapons out of the glass things and then start killing motherfuckers. While Fassbender, because his dad killed his mum, or did he? Or he did, but his mum wanted him to kill her, I think. And that's not a spoiler, because I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I think that happened. And the thing is, I was sober, and I drove, so I know I was sober. But I couldn't really tell you what happens. The action's good when it's in the past, and it's all subtitled, which is good of them. But the past stuff is maybe a quarter to a third of the runtime. The rest of it is pretty much in this institute where they're having conversations. They're not very interesting conversations. You don't really want them to have the conversations. You just want the parkour and the kind of like leap of faith stuff and the fighty stabby. But you don't get that in a lot of it. It's a lot of conversations about things. And then the ending, I thought an action sequence was going to happen because there's a sequence where, spoiler alert for Assassin's Creed, you don't care, do you?
No.
Okay. The assassins have all broken out of the Institute after Fassbender, even though he's told he was living out memories of his ancestors, suddenly his ancestor, he's in the body of his ancestor and his dead mum comes up to him. And it's like, well, what's going on there then? Because she only died like 10 years ago, and now, or 20 years ago, she wasn't in the Spanish Inquisition, or was she? I don't know. And now she's chatting to him. Okay, fine. So they break out, but Jeremy Irons has already gone off with the Apple of Eden to London for a meeting with some Templars, and they're in London, and then a bunch of people with hoods come up and get through all the security gates in London, and they've all got weapons on them, and you can see they've all got weapons. And one person gets killed, and it's Jeremy Irons. One person out of this whole room of Templars, and all these assassins coming in with all their blades and all their hoods up, which, considering they all seem to put their fucking hoods up all the way through the film, would seem to give an indication that, hey, maybe some assassins are here, considering all the assassins broke out of our institute, and now all these people are rocking up who we don't recognise, and they've all got their hoods up. Maybe they're assassins. And then Jeremy Irons makes a speech with this Apple of Eden, and then stuff starts coming out of the apple, and I don't remember the apple having the power to make stuff come out of it, like smoky stuff. Genuinely, I don't remember that happening in the film at all, and then that happens. And then all the lights go down, and then Fassbender comes up against behind Irons and kills him, and then fucks off. And then him and two other assassins are standing on a building in London, looking at the London Eye, and then the credits roll. And I haven't got a fucking clue. Like, it just, the last action sequence is about 20 minutes before the end of the film.
Oh.
And then you've got this bit where Fassbender stabs Jeremy Irons, and if that was supposed to be an action sequence, then I'm not. Maybe I momentarily fell asleep. I don't think I did. But, yeah, it's really, really, really stupid. It's really fucking dumb. It's actually, it maybe should be in my bottom 10.
Almost convince yourself that it actually should be in your bottom 10.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is though, the action is actually pretty well done in the Spanish Inquisition sequences. There's a chase sequence which is pretty fucking brilliant. So I mean, there's that, and it looks nice. The cinematography in the everything in the Spanish Inquisition bit is all right. But it's only about a half hour, 40 minutes of the film. And the rest of it is really shit. But you've got that 40 minutes, which is alright. Anyway, I'm glad it's losing money. Not even though then Fassbender produced it. But then he should have done a better job, so fuck it.
Yeah.
It is shit, though. Like, I'm glad we didn't review it, because it would have been a really bad review. You wouldn't have liked it.
Is it?
Yeah, there you go. That's it. What's your number 3?
My number 2, sorry, disappointment is Jack Reacher, which we already spoke about.
Okay.
It should never have been allowed to be a 12A rather than a 15. One of the things that stand out.
Good call. Yeah.
Is the fact is that I actually do think I don't think it should have even been a 12A. I do think it should have been a 15. I don't think a 12A you should have Jack Reacher essentially body slamming someone's neck broken in it and calling that acceptable as a 12. It's a bizarre one. If you're going to do that and you're going to just get away with a 12A, why not just go for a fucking 15? The first movie was a success because it was a 15. Should have never compromised it, and they did compromise it. So yeah, my number 2 disappointment is Jack Reacher, because I genuinely think that the first Jack Reacher is a fantastic movie, and this just let everything down.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your number 2 in disappointments?
Batman vs Superman. I've seen the thing 3 times for some reason, yeah, I I watched it in the cinema. I watched the Ultimate Edition downloaded, and then I watched the Ultimate Edition in 4K. It looks really good in 4K, in fairness, but yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, like, because the thing is, I really, really like Man of Steel. I don't care what anybody says. I really like Man of Steel. So this crowds Superman out of a film where he's in the title.
And it's supposed to be a sequel.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Batfleck is good. I enjoy the Batman sequences very much. But I mean, Martha is just, that whole thing is one of the worst things I've seen with my eyes and heard with my ears. It's why is he calling his mum Martha? And I mean, when the whole fight starts, I know they have to have a fight because it's Batman versus Superman, but it's just like, I don't know. Superman literally tries to talk to Batman once, and then Batman, I can't remember what, but does something that kind of stops him, and then Superman's suddenly like, right, I've just got to punch him until he stops trying to hit me, and then I can actually talk to him, and it's the worst. It doesn't. Well, actually, no, the worst is Doomsday, or to an extent Jesse Eisenberg. Even though I don't know, he's just like a kind of like parallel universe Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, I don't know. It's bobbins, and who knows what's going to happen with Justice League, but would I watch it again? Yeah, because I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah.
No one's going to disagree on that one. This for your 3 times of watching within a year.
I mean, oh god, the Ultimate Edition's like 3 hours long as well. What am I doing? There are films that I wish I'd seen this year, if they're possible inclusion in my lists, and yet I've seen Batman vs Superman 3 times. So yeah, all right.
Yeah.
What's your number one?
My number one disappointment is Batman: The Killing Joke. The
Oh
movie
fuck me, yeah.
Of The Killing Joke.
Sorry.
One of my favourite books. Not just one of my favourite graphic novels. One of my favourite books. Up there with Watchmen.
And the Bible.
I was dead excited. And of course the Bible. So yeah, not the King James one though. One that I found in a seedy hotel. Yeah, and it has to elongate the runtime to make it possible to be a feature film, a feature-length movie, rather than just a special that they could have released in cinemas, which would have made sense if you could have made a special out of it and then tacked on the very interesting documentary that was before it about the making of it and about Mark Hamill's history as playing the voice of the Joker. Which was very interesting. Instead, they tack on another story that feels like it was written in the early 90s, when sexual politics were still a very something very much in their infancy in the way they approach equality, etc. And I'm not one who beats on about that bullshit. I think a lot of the time people look for it. Rather than actually find it, is what I'd say there. But in The Killing Joke, it very much is. It is there. It's terribly. Is all I'm going to say. Yeah, it was a huge disappointment because even taking away from that, the punch moments of The Killing Joke, it doesn't nail any of them. It misses the mark on all of them. And I think for anybody who is that much of a fan of the book, it felt a little bit like a bit of a sucker punch. The fact that you finally got it, and then it was less than what it could have been, and certainly less than what it deserved.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad fucking film. It's just I hadn't read the book, but I mean, the stuff that they. Yeah, the stuff they do there, it's not good. It's not good. No. My number one is Blair Witch.
Didn't make my disappointments, but it might make another list.
Yeah, no, fair. Fair enough. It's just, I don't know, man. It's the guys who did A Horrible Way to Die, You're Next, and The Guest, which I at the very least like. Doing a new Blair Witch film.
I think
really.
Game changer, though, mate. Changer. It's a game changer, though.
Yeah.
Game
I mean,
changer.
that trailer that will live in infamy. Really smart marketing campaign, and they've done. They have a film which has got by far, just speaking of like female depictions on film, by far. Adam Wingberg and Simon Barrett's least compelling lead female character. Scares which are literally loud noise / like jumps in the edit scares. It does little to expand on the mythology of Blair Witch. I don't know. It just, I was really, really pumped for it. I went to see, it was like a Odeon screen unseen thing where it was either Blair Witch or The Girl with All the Gifts, which was number 16 in my list this year. And I was really, really hoping it was Blair Witch. And when it came up saying Blair Witch on the title card, people in the audience cheered. So people were up for it. and by the end, I very much wished it was the girl with all the gifts. It's just it. I mean, the thing is, it's already a footnote. It did really badly, and that is, I'm convinced it is because of word of mouth.
Yeah, the weird thing is it could be called a success because it made a lot of money in comparison to its budget. Or hoping it was going to make.
Yeah,
I don't think the usual idea of with something like Blair Witch. So, for instance, and we've spoken about it loads of times. Everyone will know. But the fact is that if a movie costs $150 million, it's got to make $300 million because you've got to take it to play marketing, right? Well, Blair Witch cost $5 million, right? They didn't spend just $5 million on marketing. They probably spent 3 times that amount on marketing because that film was marketed heavily. So you may be looking at a, let's say, 20 million budget there, including your marketing, right? So it'd have to make 40 million to make its budget back, which it made just over 45 million. But I think they were expecting that film to plump 100 million.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the thing is, horror has done really well at the box office this year. I mean, Don't Breathe made a shitload for the budget. Lights Out did really well for its budget. Conjuring 2 had quite a big budget comparatively, but still made a shit ton. Yep. So not a billion, as I think I tried to say on one of the podcasts a while back. I don't know where the fuck I got that from.
You did claim that it made 900 million.
Yeah, no, I don't know where I got that from. I'm sorry, but no, I mean, still, I think it made about 300 million worldwide, which is still really, really fucking good.
Just to say, Lights Out, 4.9 million budget. And nowhere near the marketing budget of Blair Witch, 149 million.
Yeah, there you go.
Lights Out made 149 million.
Yeah, yeah.
The Conjuring 2, made over 300 million. The Shallows made 120 million.
Oh, there you go. The Shallows as well. Yeah, quite. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, horror did well at the box office this year. If your horror film failed, you can't say it's because it wasn't its year.
No.
It's something else. The marketing for Blair Witch as well was kind of all over the place, and the whole name change thing was clever. The quotes in the trailer were there to get people amped, and then it was just it was what it was, which was a really, really average, painfully average horror film, which if it played at Fright Fest wouldn't have been talked about in that great a tone.
It lost its flow and its mojo with its marketing once people started to watch it.
Yeah. The
fact that it came out in the US a couple of weeks before it came out in the UK meant that by the time it got to the UK, everybody was already a bit like, but we know it's shit.
Yeah. I mean, it always kind of baffles me sometimes, these Screen Unseen and the Cineworld Unlimited screenings and stuff. When the thing is, they would only usually do that kind of thing if they were sure that the film would get a good response generally. So I don't know what it was that made them think they were going to get a good response about Blair Witch, because it generally isn't very well liked. I mean, I wonder what it's doing on Rotten Tomatoes.
Blair Witch is 36% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, there you go. So,
5.1 on IMDb.
A what?
And a 5.1 on IMDb.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's it just... It didn't really get any traction, and yet they did this thing a week before it came out to try and get buzz, and I mean, Christ, it inspired me to fucking write a review, which I'd never do, if I'm not getting paid for it, frankly, these days, and, yeah, it was shit.
It was just shit.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I'm sure you'll talk about it maybe a bit more, at some point, but, yeah, there you go. Okay, cool.
Cool. Right, so we shall get in with your number 7, my good man.
Shit it off, yeah. Okay. Bear with me. I had it up a second ago and I went to Rotten Tomatoes. My number 7 is A Monster Calls, which made me cry. So there you go. A really, really interesting depiction of grief and how you process it, which another film later on is going to be referring to that as well. In a way, actually, two other films. I think Lewis McDougall in the lead role is very good. I think Felicity Jones, yes, she is young, but they also make it very clear that she and Toby Kebbell had the kid very young, and I think it also, her age plays well into the tragedy of her character essentially dying, and it's not a spoiler, it's the fucking plot of the film.
Yeah.
It's got Juan Antonio Bayona. It's basically doing his and Del Toro's Spanish language type of stuff in the English language, with its a kind of depiction of mystical elements from nature, and also some really interesting animated segments in it as well. While these stories that the monster are telling are told, but it's all rooted very much in very, very human emotions of grief and guilt. I think it's a masterful film, and one which doesn't seem to have really caught light at the box office or critically, but I think may well be reinterpreted later on down the line. I wrote a piece for the site about it, and I think it's a pretty fucking great film. It's just there are other films on the list which I hold to my heart a bit more.
Cool. Right, so my number 7 is the Jake Gyllenhaal film Demolition, which kind of plays the sort of films that I get off on, that I like.
Almost made my 20 as well.
Yeah, in the fact that it's a broken kind of man film. What I love about Demolition is it tries to it opens up with the tragedy of this guy losing his wife, and him looking back at that and looking at it and saying that essentially he neglected his wife and neglected his relationship by just kind of easing himself through life, and then decides that he's going to take his life down and demolish his life to find what was wrong and then kind of rebuild it. And it isn't until about sort of the 2/3 of the way through the movie that you actually see what you're actually thinking of kind of championing, and this idea of him soul searching and anything like that is actually, you actually find out that actually he wasn't as big a problem in his relationship as he thought he was, and that he did pay more attention to his wife than he thought he did. It's just that was his nature within that, and it turns out that his wife wasn't this brilliant shining light that he thinks she was and that everybody else thinks that she was. And then you essentially hit upon the fact that what you've actually been watching, you haven't been watching a guy go through all this soul searching and try to find himself and look sort of deep within and try and find out what's at his core and anything like that. You're actually watching a guy having a full mental breakdown and then a crash, and it's that kind of horribleness of when it hits you, when that moment hits you, as you're watching it, it does kind of knock you for six a little bit. Oh, it did me anyway. It kind of knocked me for six of the fucking hell. That's we talk a lot, I think, about nowadays about the treatment of mental illness in film and everything like that. And here is a perfect depiction of somebody going through a full mental breakdown. Yet when we're viewing it before we actually realise what it is, you're almost laughing at the fact that he's breaking his apartment up with his with this woman that he's just met, that he's kind of a comfort to him, a comforting aid to him, and her son that he's kind of taken under his wing. But the reality is he's going through quite a serious mental breakdown. And it's fantastically acted by Jake Gyllenhaal, who just keeps consistently getting better and better and better.
Yep, absolutely, man.
I do think that Jake Gyllenhaal is possibly the finest actor that nobody seems to talk about working at the moment.
That's true. Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of word about him. He's an interesting guy as well. I remember I was listening to Empire podcast a little while back where they were interviewing him for Nocturnal Animals, and he was saying that what really attracts into a film is not just the director, but particularly the cinematographer. And he wants to know that the crew around, not just the director, are going to be there, and they're people he can trust or finds their work interesting. And it seems like he's a very, very in guy when it comes to the making of a film. And I don't know, when it kind of feels like he's going to start producing at some point. I think that could be interesting.
It could be, yeah. He's often talked about, in a similar way to Chris Evans has often talked about, is looking at possibly moving into directing as well, but not with him, not directing himself in movies, just directing a movie. So that could be quite interesting. And I remember seeing it not too long ago, I think last year, when he was promoting Southpaw, and it was on some fluff TV show, something like that. I can't remember what it was. And they asked him about the pronouncement of his name, and he kind of looked at the woman as if to say, "You know how to pronounce my name." And she said, "Oh, do people often pronounce it wrong?" And he said, "Yeah, they do actually, yeah." And she said, "Oh, so how is it pronounced?" She said, "Well, how do you think it's pronounced?" And she said, "Oh, it's Gyllenhaal." And he said, "Oh, no, it's not. It's Jehulahan." And
that's pretty good.
And she said it back to him, and she said it like that, and he went, "No, you said it wrong. It's Jehulahan." And he just kept, every time she kept on saying it, he kept on just repeating it back to her. And then eventually she said it, he went, "You're just not getting it." And she said, "What's your surname?" And she said it, and it was something like Swinton or something Smithson or something like that. And he just kept saying it wrong. And he just went, "Can't get it. I just can't get it. I can't get it."
That's brilliant.
Can you spell it out for me? And she looked so embarrassed. And you could see he wasn't doing it being a dick, but it was just, hang on a minute. What you're saying is your name's hard to spell, not your name's hard to say. Why are you asking about the fucking movie?
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, so that's my number 7 is Demolition. So what is your number 6, my good man?
Okay, my number 6 is Martin Scorsese's Silence.
6 is Martin Scorsese's Silence.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so we're gonna stop the countdown then and review. So, Silence, stars. Oh, hang on, you're steering the ship, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Yes. Well, let me get to it then. Martin Scorsese's Silence. Yes, it stars Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver, Liam Neeson, and Syrian Hines. It also stars a lot of Japanese and Korean actors who I won't try and butcher names of. The film it's part of Scorsese's passion projects that he puts out, and it is set in the 1600s when Christianity and mainly the Catholic faith was trying to branch out essentially and spread its influence and its teachings, its learnings, etc. Across the globe and take on all these new lands that have been discovered. So you have the journey of the Jesuit priests who have gone from Portugal to Japan to try and get Catholicism off the ground there. But the Buddhist teachings that already exist within Japan are quite quite against the idea of a new religion starting up in their country. So you have the Inquisitor, who essentially is finding out the Christians that are now living in Japan and getting them to apostatize and denounce their faith. One of the leading priests that has been sent over is Father Ferreira, played by Liam Neeson, who it seems has denounced his faith and has apostatized himself. Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver's characters Rodriguez and Grupe. They don't believe that he's denounced his faith and denounced God in public, so they insist that they should be allowed to go and find Father Ferreira to help clear his name, because they basically say it's hearsay and gossip that is behind the idea that he has denounced God, and so they are sent into Japan to try and find Father Ferreira. Ian, silence. It's Scorsese's passion project again. It's the second time he's tackling religion. As anyone who knows anything about sort of Scorsese knows, that his two big passions in life are religion and Catholicism mainly, and film. Here again, he's mashing the two together. What did you think?
Yeah, so, well, my number 6, so I liked it quite a bit. The thing is, I'm not religious in the slightest, so, you know, it's one that I suppose would maybe I'd have to work at more, or it would have to work at me more in order for me to get something really out of it, but I did, and I think that's thanks to character and runtime as well. You spend so long with Andrew Garfield's character that I mean, and the journey that he goes on, that you by the end of it, I don't know about you, but I was willing him just like, don't give it up, don't give it up, don't give it up, even though I'm not a Christian in the slightest, you know. It's because it's not just a question of faith, I suppose, it's a question of character, and you know, you see what happens to Adam Driver's character, and the kind of the machinations around that, and the fact, you know, he's told that Garfield's character had apostatized, and so they're making it so much harder on Garfield's character. And what I found interesting was also Liam Neeson's character, I don't think is black and white either. There are times where he doesn't seem to believe what he's saying about about everything he's learned since he's been there and since he's apostatized. And the idea of having faith and keeping it secret and that being okay, I thought was a really interesting idea. And I mean, the image at the end is lovely. You know, I mean, even though it's of a dead body, what he's holding in his hand, it made me, I don't know, it kind of made me feel like everything's going to be all right. Weirdly, at the end. I mean, looks amazing, shot on film, and looks lovely. When it seeks to show the torture stuff, it doesn't hold back. You know, like the burning, the screaming kind of burning body was an image I'm not going to forget. And yeah, I think it's wonderful. I do wonder what it would have been like had Adam Driver and Andrew Garfield swapped roles. But I'm perfectly happy with what was there.
Yeah, Anderson, I think it's the thing is with silence. I know Noel mentioned it and said that he said that it's a film that he just can't see himself watching. Not because he's not interested in something like that. It's just because you are undertaking a little bit of a, you know, it's 2 hours 40 minutes long, and let's be honest, it's a historical religious epic about religious persecution. It's a hard sell. It really is a hard sell. And you know, the big sell for me is the fact that it's Martin Scorsese. But I can see why to many people it's a hard sell, and it's a film whereby Scorsese has used the fact that he has a lot of cachet anyway, just being Martin Scorsese, but even that isn't enough sometimes. But the fact that he made that Wolf of Wall Street made an incredible amount of money for an R-rated movie, kind of gave him the license to where they said, look, yes, you can do this passion project. And he's delivered another passion project in silence. You know, the past few passion projects he's delivered, The Last Temptation of Christ and Gangs of New York, were again not hugely successful. And silence, you know, won't be hugely successful in the sense of it won't make a lot of money. It also, I don't think it'll claim upon on awards because of the subject matter. And the fact is that I just think that, well, it's my number 6 in my list. I do think that there are better films out there this year, but I think it's an incredibly brave film to take on, to make, and I think it's somebody with the craft, respect, and the sheer single-mindedness. It deals with, which is always quite difficult to deal with, against Christianity. You're not dealing with persecution against, you know, what is seen to be the more historically persecuted faith, I think is the best way to say it. You know, you're not dealing with something like Schindler's List, which is persecution against Jewish, which, you know, there are films out there. You're not dealing with persecution against Muslims like you could do if you did a Crusade movie or anything like that. But it's, and also as well, you're taking on Buddhism. Buddhism nowadays is seen very much as a very Zen religion, and a religion that is based around tolerance and, you know, taking other people's, you know, ideas on board and everything like that. And what this film does is it says, look, in Japan in the 1700s, they took what is possibly the most tolerant religion, but still used it as a force of fucking evil. And there's a lot of, some of the great scenes in this film are the debates between the Inquisitor or the Inquisitor's translator and Andrew Garfield, where you can see they're both arguing essentially the same point at each other, and they're both kind of right. And you know, the Inquisitor saying, "We don't want your religion here," and making a very good point. You know, you wouldn't want us to come to Portugal and bestow our religion upon you. Why are you coming here and forcing it upon us? And all that Andrew Garfield can do is say, because we're right. Which, again, is going back to the sheer pig-headedness of religion, is that there's this man who he's so passionate and so ingrained in his belief that he's willing quite literally to die and for other people to die for what he believes in. And it's that unflinching faith that I think Scorsese wishes he had, but doesn't quite have, because if he did, he'd be a priest now, not one of the greatest living filmmakers. And I think that what he's doing here is he's essentially telling you about faith and about the pull of faith and about the obsession of faith, the danger of faith, but the wonder of faith, and all of these things through cinema. And he doesn't give a shit if at points it looks a little bit hokey, because he's saying, do you know what? Religion's a bit hokey at points. These guys do genuinely believe they see signs in everything, and that is what sets their faith. But these now, if you get a priest comes out and says, I saw the face of God in a pool of water, everyone goes, no. Then, in the 1600s, they were revered. They were, you know, they were special. They were usually very well educated, and they were powerful. And that's what you get in silence, is you get the sheer will of religion mixed with all the dangers of it, and it's quite striking, to be honest.
Yeah, no, agreed. Fucking, you're kind of making a lot of really good points that kind of render what I'm going to say kind of obsolete, to be honest. I think we're just on the same page, really, here, man. I mean, I think Andrew Garfield is very good. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in Hacksaw Ridge, because it kind of feels like it's quite a similar character, really. Like, bizarrely so. But yeah, I think he believably goes through shit. It doesn't feel like pretty boy actor has some mud on his face.
No.
It does feel like he's genuinely changed through the film, through experience, if not through faith. I mean, how do you read the ending, by the way? That he had kind of kept his
faith.
I
think he'd always kept his faith. I think it was the fact is it was better for him to keep his faith. I think he realised, I don't need to prove my faith to everybody. What I can do is I can save lives and keep my faith by doing what I'm doing. And I think the ending is as much about what you don't see for 20 years as what you do see. Because what you don't see could be him, we get that he's under constant watch, and that's his suffering, that's his penance for that. That's him proving his faith, that he is literally giving up his identity and his life to save these people. It's touching on the Jesus complex. He isn't going to die for it, because if he dies for it, it's martyrdom. And it's better for him to live a life of faith in secret than die a martyr and be forgotten about forever.
Fair point. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Good.
But I do think that Garfield is... The thing about Andrew Garfield, it is... I think, in a way, his career was kind of put on hold for a few years by Spider-Man. Because you look at him, he was in The Other Berlin Girl, then Parnassus, I'm Here, Never Let Go, Never Let Me Go, then Social Network, and then he did 2 Spider-Man movies. He didn't do anything in between. He just did the 2 Spider-Man movies. And then he's come back out with... He's very good in 99 Homes, which I thought was a solid movie. And then he's come out with Hacksaw Ridge and Silence, which are both very... they're big films to take on. And I think he's teaming up with... Is he in the upcoming... Andy Serkis film next year?
What? What's he doing?
Andy Serkis is his directorial debut, I think it is, and I think Garfield's the lead in that.
I thought he was doing an adaptation of like another Jungle Book or something. He's doing something else, is he? Serkis.
Andy Serkis, he's directing a film. A polio survivor was diagnosed with disease at age 28. Yeah, and Andrew Garfield's doing that with Hugh Bonneville. So he was picking interesting films, then became Spider-Man, and now he's back to picking interesting films again. Now he's got that Spider-Man thing monkey off his back a little bit. So it's kind of, and it's strange the fact that you had both Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, who were in the Spider-Man movies, which, I didn't mind them, but are perceived as being a little bit jumbled messes and a bit of kind of failures. And then they're both in films that are, the hotly tipped for award noms films, and they're leading in those. It's kind of it's strange the fact that seems to be kind of pulling them down a little bit, and then they're back, and you've got Andrew Garfield in this and Hacksaw Ridge and Emma Stone in La La Land, which might come up later on.
Yes. Okay. Yes, indeed.
Silence. It's definitely not shit. It's very, very good.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
And also as well, Adam Driver is fantastic, if not mildly underused
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a character. I don't think the character's in it that much in the actual book itself.
No, because I like him at the start, where he's just how frustrated he's getting living in that hut.
Yeah.
I found that I don't know. I just found that quite funny, which is weird for a film that funny is not the first word you would exactly go to.
No, there's very little humour in silence.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I see exactly what you mean. But it's a very grim tale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very good though.
Very, very good. Yes. So that was both of our number 6. So it's now on to your number 5.
My number 5 is Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Oh, bravo you.
Yeah. Yes, Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping for me is better than Martin Scorsese's Silence. It's a film for our times. I think it's one of the funniest comedies in years. The sheer hit rate of the jokes, I think, are incredible. The soundtrack is actually good outside of the film. I mean, Mona Lisa, you're an overrated piece of shit, is just wonderful. And she wanted to fuck me like we fucked Bin Laden. It's incredible. I want to watch it again now. Just talking about it, I want to watch Popstar again now. Great runtime as well. I don't know. It's firing on all cylinders throughout, and it feels like a film which, in 5 years' time, everyone's going to be saying they saw it in the cinema when no one did.
Zoolander or Anchorman.
It's going to be like Anchorman in that respect, yeah. I pray they don't do a sequel, just because this is just a film of its time. The idea of his album being on domestic appliances and then that basically overloading the electricity grids worldwide when the album's launched is just such a... It's both insane, but you could easily see Justin Bieber doing something like that if he had the wrong kind of advice.
Yeah, it literally is. It's how can we make U2's album just appearing on your fucking iPhone? How can we make that more ridiculous? Oh,
exactly.
On your fridge.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I think it's a joyous fucking film and great. A great effort by all the cast, but it's really good to see Tim Meadows given a nice supporting role as well, because it feels like he's a guy who doesn't get seen half as much as he should. But I'm a big fan of that guy. He's also the you shouldn't try any of this shit, man, guy from Walk Hard, and just brilliant. I'm a big fan of Andy Samberg, and Hot Rod I'm a fan of also, but this feels like a film for now. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know. But also the fact that Connor is a twat, but he's really endearing at the same time.
He's an idiot, but he's not an arsehole as such. There's no malice in his what is it? He's just not that bright.
Yeah.
He's a product of his time.
No. Yeah, no, exactly. I don't know, Popstar. It's one of the best comedies in years, and like I say, I want to watch it again now.
Oh, nice. I'm very glad that's that high up in your list.
Nice.
Right, my number 5 is Denis Villeneuve's Arrival.
Nice. Okay.
A film that just kind of, I was very much looking forward to it. I've been a huge fan of Villeneuve's other films. I thought Prisoners was fantastic, as was Sicario. So very much looking forward to Arrival, and then was absolutely floored by it. I thought it was quite something, to be honest. It's I think it's one of those strange films that I think a lot like Sicario, and I do think to an extent Prisoners, is I think it's kind of a little bit. I don't think people are making enough of a big deal over a film like Arrival. I think if you'd have put Arrival out this time of year, people would be talking about it as a potential not best picture winner, but definitely as a potential best picture nom. But it is like it's kind of cursed by its release date, which I think is pretty much the same as what happened with Sicario. That was released around this time last year. Well, not this time, around the same time last year, 2015. In sort of like that late September, early October kind of space. Or sorry, late October kind of space. So I think that's what's kind of happened there. It's fantastic. Actually, it's great that in the space of a couple of weeks we had two films, two big releases that were headed up by Amy Adams. And in a year where you could say that the whole women in film movement and the whole the Oscars so white thing and everything like that. You've had a lot of that movement in Hollywood. The fact is, it's kind of it shows that hang on a minute, we can pitch films with a female star. We've got people like Amy Adams who is bankable enough to sell a picture almost on her own. And not only that, she's actually a really good actress as well. So it all kind of works out really quite well. But also it's visually fantastic. The story's really interesting, and it has that kind of that emotional punch where it fucking floored me in the cinema. It left me quite shaken and in bits, to be honest, by the end of it. And that hasn't happened in quite a while in the cinema. So that's an experience. And we go to cinema, we enjoy cinema, and we obsess about cinema for those kind of quite real emotions that we get, and for it to stir those things up. And Arrival certainly did that, and I'm very, very much looking forward to his take on the Blade Runner universe.
Agreed.
Yep, so that's Arrival. That's my number 5. So should we do 4s, and then we'll do surprises after we've done our number 4s?
Yep, sounds good to me. Okay, my number 4 is Kenneth Lonergan's Manchester by the Sea.
Oh, cool.
Yep, so this is the hotly tipped Oscar Bovera that premiered at Sundance like a year ago, and has just come out in UK cinemas this weekend. So we're not going to do a full review of it on the show, because I just don't think Mark's going to get around to it.
No, I might try, but it all depends on whether or not I can grab pieces of my life and put them together.
Yeah, there you go. We've got higher priorities for next week's show, haven't we?
We do. We're going fucking highbrow as a motherfucker for next week's show.
Oh yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, Manchester by the Sea. So Casey Affleck plays a janitor who gets a call to say that his brother has passed away in their kind of like hometown where he grew up. He comes back there and he discovers that his brother has in his will basically said, I want you to be the guardian to my child. The mother was a alcoholic who has essentially disappeared, and he doesn't want to live there because of events of the past. So this is a film that walks a tightrope between being emotionally really quite devastating, but also pretty fucking funny.
Alright.
I'd heard going in that it was surprisingly funny in moments. I laughed multiple times, and I laughed more than people in the audience did. And I wonder if those people didn't know whether they were supposed to laugh or not.
Is that, you think, why did the fact that you laughed and there was little moments of of levity within it, did that help the film? Because everything I've seen in the film, until I saw a trailer before Silence, every other trailer I've seen of it made it seem like I was watching it going, that's going to be very good, but it looks like it's going to be quite hard to watch. Until I saw a trailer before Silence, which had a few moments where I thought, right, okay, it's not just misery porn.
No, I mean, there's a fucking fantastic exchange a few minutes into it where he's this janitor in this apartment building, and there's a woman in who he's trying to fix her shower, and it's like she's trying to corner him into basically kicking off, and like some of the buttons she's trying to push, and then his like release of sweariness is an absolute joy. And I mean, like, even in the editing, there's like, I don't know, like, there's interesting. Someone says something, jumps very quickly to another scene, and you're just left with an odd laugh, which is really well done. But also, Lucas Hedges, who plays the 16-year-old who Casey Affleck is basically assigned to look after, he's very, very personable, and he goes through the film, and the thing is, his father dies, and it's kind of a surprise, but not, because he had like a pre-existing condition. It's not a spoiler or anything. So he does have moments, but he kind of takes stuff in his stride, and there are scenes of him in a band where they're constantly winding up the drummer about him going too fast or too slow, and it's great. And the kid who plays the drummer, he's only in like 2 scenes, but he looks so put upon. He absolutely epitomises the mate in the group who always has the piss taken out of him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's great. But Lucas Hedges is very, very good in this. He's kind of getting under talked about, I think. Casey Affleck, very, very, very good. He's just like A Monster Calls. It was when I was talking about Monster Calls, I said there was another film or two in my list that kind of are about male reactions to grief, and how you process it. And Casey Affleck is a 2-hour walking reaction to grief.
Yeah.
And shit in his basement that he can't sort out. And the ending of the film is really interesting. No spoilers, but the film is very much a slice of life. Very little is wrapped up by the end of it, but it feels all the better for that.
Yeah.
And there are people who do morally questionable things in the film, and there's no histrionics. They're never really kind of like questioned on it. It is what it is. It's life. And that sounds like it might be pretentious, but it's not meant to be in the slightest. From me anyway. Like it is life. You're just watching 2 hours of a few weeks or couple months of these people's lives. This isn't a fault of the film. I mean, it's my number 3 of the year. But I would say that the talk that Michelle Williams has been getting of the Best Supporting Actress Oscar, I think, is probably harsh on anyone else being talked about for it, just because she has very, very little screen time. She's very good when she is on, but she has very little screen time. There's like one scene that I heard was like her Oscar scene, and yeah, sure. That is just one scene.
Yeah, it is a little bit like that. Is it it's glad that she's back?
Oh no, yeah, no. I mean, I think there's an element of that there. I mean, she is very, very good in it, and she is fucking heartbreaking in that particular scene. It's I'm not going to get into spoilers, but there's unresolved stuff between her and Casey Affleck, and you spend so much time with him and his grief that when she confronts him with stuff, it's like, well, shit, yeah, she's another human being who's had all this shit, and we've spent so much time with Casey Affleck, we haven't even really thought about her, and fuck, and it's a fucking great film. It's a really, really, really good piece of work, which I think deserves all the attention. I don't know. I can't off the top of my head. I can't really think of who's up against Casey Affleck for Best Actor. But what I do like is, like I say, there are no histrionics. There is no big. He doesn't have an Oscar scene.
Well, that's what I've always quite liked about Casey Affleck. In a similar way as a lot of the time you get with Ryan Gosling in the times he's been nominated, which I think he could be the one that could be up with Casey Affleck. I don't think he'll win it. I think Casey Affleck will win it. I remember, a number of years ago, when out of nowhere Ryan Gosling got nominated for Half Nelson, and that's a movie where if you actually watch it, there's no Oscar clip in it. It's just a very It's just a very, very good acting performance, and Casey Affleck's often quite like that. He doesn't go for the big overblown, like you say, this is my Oscar clip performance. He keeps it quite on the level of natural.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's Matthew Broderick's in it really briefly, and
isn't he in a few of them? I think he's mates with.
He might be mates with Lonergan because I think they're both New Yorkers, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like running the same crowd.
Yeah.
But he's good when he's on. Gretchen Mol as well, which was.
I think Gretchen Mol's a really good actress.
Yeah, no, and she's actually really good in this because the character she plays the alcoholic mum, and her character who runs off. She's only in a couple scenes, but there's a distinct difference between the two. But she still feels like the same person. It's it's really well done. It's Manchester by the Sea, man. It's a really, really good piece of work, and it's not a slog in the slightest. And all power to it. I hope it does. I hope it does well, man. Like, if you were to say who gave the better performance in Casey Affleck or Ryan Gosling, I think performance, what they're required to do, I think probably Casey Affleck, even though Gosling is stupendous in La La Land. We'll talk about La La Land.
I think we might do.
But it's, I don't know. It's a year where I expect La La Land to dominate awards season, and let's just say I'd like it to, but I'd be really pleased if Manchester by the Sea got some shit in there as well. I haven't seen Moonlight. That's the other one this year, and people are raving about that. It comes out over here in a couple of weeks' time, so maybe I'll be like that for Moonlight as well. But it's nice to be in Oscar season. It was like it last year as well, and just be like, cool. I'm actually all right. I'm all right with any of them.
Yeah, like you say, it is. I think that is the thing with it again this year. It does seem to be a lot of the films that are getting spoken about are, you look at it going, well, that's deserved, to be honest.
And also, I must say, good on Amazon Studios as well. I mean, between this and the Neon Demon, they've done all right for me this year. Maybe, yeah. And they've done probably better than Netflix this year, I'd say. I mean, what have Netflix done?
Adam Sandler and Kevin Smith.
Kevin James films, yeah.
But then again, we'll see. This year, 2017, is the year where Netflix kind of go, hey, look at this shit.
Yeah, man. Mute, for fuck's sake. That's so crazy that Duncan Jones' next film is a Netflix original.
The new David Ayer film is a Netflix original.
Oh, Bright. Yeah, of course. Will Smith, isn't it?
Yeah. $85 million budget film.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
Yes, it is.
The times they are changing, man. My number 4 was Manchester by the Sea. I think I might have said number 3 by mistake, but my number 4 is Manchester by the Sea. And the thing is, it could have been number 1 in another year. It could have been. It's just my top 3 are 3 of my favourite films in quite some time.
Nice.
There you go.
Right. Well, I'm going to go for my number 4 then, and then we'll do some surprises. My number 4 is Tom Ford's Nocturnal Animals, which is the best horror of the year.
Fucking right.
As we said, we did the review of it. Tom Ford is very much a man who doesn't do something unless he can do it very, 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 very well. If you look at his career in all facets of what he's done, in all the different artistic endeavours he's had, he's been phenomenally successful, which leads you have to then assume that it's because he's a very, very creative, but also a very, very smart man. And that comes across in Nocturnal Animals. There's such a bravado in Nocturnal Animals, in the sense that this is the second movie this guy has made, and this is a guy who, film types could quite easily dismissively say, he's just a guy who designed pretty glasses. He should be dressing stars rather than directing them. Things that were thrown at him, yet he's delivered a Single Man and this. And this is the Single Man, you could see the hand of a fashion person on that movie. Whereas with this is a film. There's elements of kind of giallo in there. There's elements of Lynch in there. But then there's also very much a stamp of this is his own movie. He's not just aping people that are clearly influences. There's a lot of decisions that go on with it that are very much, wow, didn't expect that to fucking happen. And there's some incredibly visceral imagery within it. And it's an uncomfortable film to watch. It's quite a claustrophobic film to watch. And also, there's so much going on with it, within it, that I'm very, very much looking forward to watching it again. But also, as well, I'm looking at it going, I'm looking forward to watching it again. I want to watch it again. But it's such an uncomfortable place to be watching this movie.
Yeah.
That there's also that it's such a different role to a rival. Jake Gyllenhaal is, again, like I said, he's so good at playing emotions and at playing different type of emotions. You've got, in the past few years from him, we've had a man having a breakdown. You have this, where he's playing somebody a little bit that Michael Shannon almost takes pity on, in the sense of, he looks at him and says, you should have done more, but you're just not that guy. It's not your fault you could do more. I can do more because I am that guy. And there's that within him. But then a couple of years ago, you had him playing the detective in Prisoners, and then you had him playing a boxer in Southpaw. And all of these, I have said it before about Jake Gyllenhaal, he's a character actor that happens to, like Tom Hardy and people like that, and Chris Pine, I think, is also one, that happens to have the look of a leading man, but he's just more interested in being a character actor. It really is a quite striking, quite brilliant film. That, again, like I say, I'm very much looking forward to rewatching, and I have a feeling it's one that will improve upon rewatches, because there's so much there that you can pick out of it. And also, if we need any more proof that Tom Ford is a very, very gifted director, is that he managed to get a fantastic performance out of Aaron Taylor-Johnson.
Yeah, one which is getting a lot more awards notice than I thought he was going to.
And
like,
it's
actually, stunningly so. No, straight up.
Fantastic. He delivers an entire scene on the toilet, right? But the toilet is outdoors. It's outside.
I love it.
Which is fantastic, and it adds to the ridiculousness of that of the world, and it works within the world of that movie. It just enhances the chaos and the oddity of that movie, and it is an oddity, but it's quite brilliant as well.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about it.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought you'd mentioned it earlier. I thought that'd be high up his list. So right, brilliant. Surprises, Ian. Right, do you want to go with your number 5 surprise?
Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book, because...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, The Jungle Book is my favourite Disney animation, and Jon Favreau, I think, has quite the spotty track record, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so... The thing is, this probably wouldn't have been on my list if I hadn't watched it a second time, but I watched it that second time, and I think for the very much the most part, that fucker works really well. I like how it changes itself up from the original. I mean, yes, the original with its Mowgli basically goes chasing after young love, let's just say. It is, and the fact that the girl is basically like just kind of pulling his cock along on a string is quite the weird ending for the original Jungle Book. But I like that they don't try and be a musical, but they still have the kind of the hints to the morning patrol and whatnot. It would have been nice if we had some Liverpudlian vultures at some point, but you can't have everything. I just, it's an insanely impressive technical achievement. It does, slight tangent time, Disney's doing this cool. Have you heard about Tim Burton's Dumbo and who are circling that project?
No.
Will Smith and Tom Hanks.
I didn't hear the Will Smith one, actually, yeah.
Tom Hanks apparently to play the villain.
Do you know what? I'd be for that.
Yeah,
the only red light that keeps going off in my head when I hear Tim Burton doing Dumbo is, can you imagine how garish and disgusting the elephants on parade is going to look?
Oh my god.
Yeah. However, I will explain why I might be quite wrong shortly.
Oh, okay, right. So, I'm assuming Surprise is not top films of the year, so I think I know what you're talking about. But fair enough. But yeah, no, it's. I think it's a really, really, really solid piece of work. It's a lot of fun. I even didn't mind the Bill Murray singing as much second time round. So yeah, The Jungle Book.
Cool, good. My number 5 surprise is a movie that I was. The thing is, I was looking forward to this because it contains my favourite actor of all time and an actor that I have a lot of love for some reason. And it's Dirty Grandpa. Is my number 5 surprise.
Right, no, okay. Now, in fairness, why is that a surprise? You knew you were going to love this fucking thing. And I don't mind it. Don't get me wrong. I was stunned. Kinda, that should be in my list. It's not. It kinda should be. But how did that surprise you? It surprised
me because I knew I was going to love it, but I did think it was going to be a steaming pile of shit. But I thought, you know what? It can be a steaming pile of shit, but if it is just to have the weirdness of having De Niro and Zac Efron on screen, it is enough to get me interested. It will be enough to get me through. But then I don't think it's that bad. I think it is actually quite amusing at points. The fact that it simply is just De Niro making cock jokes to Zac Efron for an hour and a half is great.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoyed that myself, in fairness.
The constantly telling him that his vagina's showing and things like that. Just, it's brilliant. Zac Efron is... I think what is missed about Zac Efron is how much the guy is open to poking fun at himself.
Oh, yeah.
And it's... What's strange is with Zac Efron, is he made a name for himself doing Disney when he was young, and became quite a junior art from doing Disney when he was young, and then he kind of had to come back from that. But you look at somebody else who did Disney when they were young and kind of had to and had a path into adult movies, was something like Kurt Russell, for instance. But the thing is, I think if Zac Efron were, let's say, another 4 or 5 inches taller, he'd just be getting cast in action films. Because the thing that he did was he did High School Musical, then he left High School Musical, went off, got a little bit of a drug habit, but wasn't seen falling out of clubs drug habit, just a personal drug habit.
Even though you should watch the Zac Efron post E3 EA Battlefield 1 thing at some point. You'll very much enjoy it. Him, Jamie Foxx, and Snoop Dogg high off their arses being interviewed and playing Battlefield 1. It's amazing.
I will be watching that very shortly then. But then he came back, and the thing is, he looked buff as fuck, so it was like, right, well, we can cast him and stuff because he's a name and he can take his shirt off. And then it was kind of, by accident, people went, actually, he's got really good comedic timing. And, now, this year later on, he's going to be heading up one of the big films of the summer. I think it's a fantastic kind of, resurrection for him, almost. And Dirty Grandpa isn't that bad. That's why it's my number 5 surprise. So, what's your number 4 surprise?
Good for you. Good for you, you fucking
idiot. Yeah.
No, I mean, I like I say, I didn't mind Dirty Grandpa. We were setting up to have a right ding-dong about that, and it was like, no, I actually quite enjoyed it, so hey. My number 4 is Kung Fu Panda 3, which I think is the... it's not in my top 20, but I think it's the underappreciated animated film of the year. I think Kung Fu Panda 3 is great because it's as fun as the first one was. It's as visually rich as the second one was. But it also manages to actually end things. Like, Po doesn't die. Of course he doesn't. But they pull story elements from the first and the second to create a trilogy closer where it does... I think they kind of felt after, Kung Fu Panda 2 didn't do as well as Kung Fu Panda 1, so I kind of think they felt like, right, we've got one more cinematic throw at the dice at this, we may as well just end it. Yeah. And, I mean, it doesn't... I mean, it feels... there could be another one. Of course there fucking could. We're getting a Toy Story 4, for fuck's sake, so of course there could be a Kung Fu Panda 4. But... Oh, God, Toy Story 4. I just remembered that's going to exist.
Oh, God.
I don't know, man. That ending of Toy Story 3, fuck, man. Christ, that thing destroyed me. Anyway... where was I? Kung Fu Panda 3, yeah. But it does feel like, right, okay, that's it then. You've also got J.K. Simmons playing the bad guy in this, and he basically plays a bad guy who was Master Oogway from the first film, The Turtle, like his essentially best mate who got written out of history. And all through the film, there's a running joke about how no one knows who he is, and he gets really frustrated about it, and which I think is gold. And then the one person who does recognise him is Poe. And it's like just the reaction that he has when he discovers that his nemesis is the only person who actually knows who he is wonderful. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kung Fu Panda 3. I've sat and watched it with Lottie from start to end a couple of times.
Ah, good.
Yeah, so, you know, it was the first film I took her to see in the cinema as well. She didn't make it all the way through, but it was the first film I took her to see in the cinema. First film she did make it all the way through, Trolls. Second film she made it all the way through, Storks. Third one, Ballerina. I've got to say, actually no, I did talk about Ballerina on the show. Dane DeHaan, man, the most alive I've ever heard that guy. But yeah, anyway, yeah, there you go, Kung Fu Panda 3. It's really good, damn it.
I've never seen any of the Kung Fu Panda movies.
4. Yeah. Well, you need to do it.
I might actually. I think weirdly, I think I've got the first 2 on Sky Movies because there was you got them free if you registered for something, and I did and got them free. I thought, why have I done that? I'm never going to watch them, but now I might actually watch them.
You could just watch 1 and 3. 2 is good, but
it's only like 90 odd minutes.
1 and 3 would be fine.
Like 90 odd minutes long. I think I might just do them all in one afternoon, one time.
There you go. Do it.
Right, my number 4 surprise is the Angry Birds movie.
Hey! Ha ha! It's not bad, is it?
Yeah, because the thing is, the Angry Birds movie, I was one of those going, fucking seriously, how the fuck do you make a movie out of the Angry Birds game? And was just thinking, that is ridiculous, it'll be a movie I'll never watch, it's frankly stupid. So, I watched the trailer and thought, oh, do you know what, I've actually laughed a couple of times during that. And then watched the movie, and I watched it on a Tuesday, day off, with brunch, and it finished, it's 90 odd minutes long, and I thought, yeah, do you know what, I enjoyed that. It gave me enough, easily enough, and it's not a film made for me, it's a film made for kids, essentially. But, yeah, I actually really quite enjoyed that, to be honest, so I never thought I'd say it. There's not that much to say about it. It literally is the Angry Birds movie, but there's also actually quite a decent story written within it. It's, you know, and how they did that, I don't know. But yeah, the Angry Birds movie was my 4th biggest surprise of the year.
Yeah, they got away with it, didn't they? That's the thing. They actually got away with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My number 3 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Out of the Shadows, which I think is a Saturday morning cartoon in film form, and is wonderful. It's a lot of fun. Tyler Perry is Baxter Stock something, and he's great. I love how deliciously, I just want to have fun and be evil he is about the whole thing.
I want to see this movie just for Tyler Perry.
Have you seen it?
I've not seen it yet, no.
Oh mate, seriously, you'll have a ball with this. It's appreciably better than the first one was.
I didn't mind the first one.
Yeah, no, the first one's fine, but this one, they really embrace the cartoonness of it. The bad guy Krang, he's a brain in the body, in the stomach of a robot strongman thing or something, which is from the cartoon, and the comic, I think. But it's mental, but it's fun. The thing is, I watched this on my iPhone when we were in Majorca with the in-laws and whatnot for a week, and I just had a ball with it, kicked back with a few beers and watched it and laughed my arse off, and I think I was supposed to. It's just really fun. Rocksteady and Bebop are really good, and the CG is solid. They look like they're there, as do the turtles. It did not make money, and there won't be a third one. They've confirmed that now. They're done with this iteration, and it's a shame because I'd watch more of this.
Yeah, it's a shame actually, but yeah, he didn't make money, did it? No, he didn't. It really didn't.
Yeah, no. It lost quite a bit for Paramount, but yeah, Paramount had a bad year. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and you should check it out.
My number 3 surprise is Keanu.
Solid.
If you'd have told me that the two guys who, Jordan Pell and Keegan-Michael Kay, two guys who I kind of recognise from bits, but what they're sort of known for hasn't really made it over here, or generally made it over here. They were making essentially a homage to John Wick, starring a cat, and then two versus a bunch of drug dealers. I'd have been like, yeah, I'm not going to watch that. But again, I did watch it, and it's an enormous amount of fun. I was again surprised that it wasn't just a good idea. It's actually a well executed movie, and it's fun, and it shows both not to be very good comedians, and I was just pleasantly surprised by it, to be honest.
Yep.
But again.
I really enjoyed it.
It was fun. We reviewed it on the podcast, didn't we? And yeah, we both had a lot of fun with it, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Very, very nice now tribute to George Michael as well in it.
Yeah, feels quite prescient that now, actually. Your number 2 surprise, then, Ian?
My number 2 surprise is the Arabian Nights trilogy. The Portuguese films, which I talked about, which I think was my one foray into like kind of making effort cinema, which I did this year. 3 to 2.5 hour films, which I watched over 4 days. And for the most part, really, really, really entertaining. Basically, Arabian Nights, but with stories being told about the world as it is now, including a cockerel that won't shut up but has a story to tell. The leaders of the IMF, or an organisation like them, meeting up but all getting massive boners and not knowing how to deal with it. And other such tales, some interesting, some not as much. The trilogy caps off with the least interesting instalment of the lot. However, I had a ball with these, and it's like a good 7 hours or so of cinema, and I was in throughout. Has things to say, but doesn't rub your nose in it, and is just very entertaining. It's a good time. It was on Mubi. It's not on Mubi anymore because of the way they work. But yeah, I had a good deal of fun with this, and it's as much nourishment cinematically as I think I'd probably give myself in quite some time, to be honest. So yeah, number 2, Arabian Nights trilogy.
Cool. So that comes to my number 2. The Netflix movie Spectral,
which I watched last night.
Ah, very good. Yes, you did. Yes. I'd heard very little about actually Spectral until you mentioned it on the show, that it was coming up on Netflix, and I when you mentioned that, I kind of looked at it and thought, oh yeah, I remember seeing a trailer for that, and it looked all right, and I thought, well, like James Badge-Dale, I think he's a very underrated actor. Emily Mortimer's always entertaining stuff, as is Bruce Greenwood. So I watched it when it came out on Netflix. I thought, right, I'm in the mood for this type of movie. I thought it was fantastic. I just thought it was a really engaging. I thought it looked great. The story was interesting. I thought James Badge-Dale delivered a fantastic performance. The action was great. It felt the whole world of it all felt lived in, and I was just really, really impressed by it. I thought it was I think I've said when I spoke about it on the podcast when I talked about it. My biggest complaint about it was that I didn't get to see it in the cinema, and I still remains my biggest complaint about it. It's great that I got to see it, at home. In my living room via my Netflix subscription, and that's fantastic. But it now does raise the worries of I've got a David Ayer movie and I've got a Duncan Jones movie that I'm not going to get in the cinema. And a new Boon Jong-ho movie that I'm not going to get in the cinema, but I am going to be able to see them all on day of release in my own home that I've been asking them to do for years. And now I've got it, and I don't know that I want it.
Yeah.
It's like no, I want to see. I want to see certain movies. I want to see Manchester by the Sea at home when it's released. I don't want to see Silence on La La Land at home when it's released, unless I do want to see that. And it is just a little bit like, well, I want to have my cake and eat it too when I want to eat it. Sometimes at a restaurant, and I sometimes want to eat it at home. Yeah. But I want to make that decision. But I want it to always be the best cake. It is like that. It's you can't have fucking everything, Mark.
No, you fucking can't, Mark.
And Spectral fucking proved that for me. So yeah, that's my number 2. And what I will say there is nobody has a single fucking excuse to not watch this film legitimately. So
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm kind of surprised you enjoyed it as much as you did, because it is very, I don't know, it's just kind of like a video game, really.
It is very much like a video game, yeah.
I mean, I on my Letterboxd rating was 3 out of 5, so I would say definitely not shit. It's interesting to see, I mean, James Badge Dale can kind of, he's interesting, because like Iron Man 3, he's very imposing and very threatening. And with the Grey, he's the arsehole guy in the Grey, isn't he?
Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
So you've got that. But then in Spectral, it's like, he's quite weedy, and maybe it's because it's in relative to the other guys on screen. And he's thoughtful, and that's actually quite believable there. And I think the idea of the enemy, once it kind of comes across, is a mental little thing which actually kind of works in this world, and like it kind of does feel like it could be secret tech that was being worked on. But yeah, I don't know. We've got a mission, go from A to B.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a mission, go from B to C. Okay, we got a mission, go from C to D. Okay, we got a mission, go from D to blow the fuck out of E. Mm-hmm. End of film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like it should be in a cinema. I mean, obviously, the whole story behind Spectral was that Universal were going to release it, and then they dropped it, and then Netflix picked it up. Because it was weird, like, seeing the Netflix logo pop up at the start, basically saying it's a Netflix film, and then the Legendary Pictures logo
after it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, that totally does feel like the Universal logo should have been on before this. It is a bit of cognitive dissonance for people who watch the amount of films that we do. Yeah. But yeah, no, I had a decent time with it. It was a good Saturday night film.
Yeah.
But it does kind of feel like I was watching a variant of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, to be honest. And I enjoy those games in chunks. I don't know. 3 out of 5 sounds about right to me. I'd recommend it. I wish it was in 4K. It's a Netflix original. Netflix, come on. I'm paying for the 4K subscription. By the way.
Yeah.
You will never, I don't think I've said this in the WhatsApp, you would never guess the one non-Netflix original 4K film that is on Netflix.
Oh, what type of film is it?
Romantic comedy.
Ooh. Oh, fuck, I have no idea what that could be. In 4K?
My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh, whoa. Who? Why? That must have cost
My
money
Best
to do.
Friend's... Like, literally, I was looking through last night, after I watched Spectral, I was looking through it all. It's like, Netflix original, Netflix original, Netflix original, Netflix original, Netflix original. My Best Friend's Wedding. What?
My Best Friend's Wedding. Yeah, that's a terrible movie. I saw that at the cinema.
And I started it, and I've got to say, the TriStar logo looks grainy as fuck, like as in 35mm kind of grain. It looks awesome. But I'm not watching My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't.
To be fair, if Donna was around, if Donna was around, it's not like she's fucking dead or something. I mean, like, if she was in the room and she wanted to watch My Best Friend's Wedding, to be fair, I'd probably be like, alright, I'm going to have a couple of beers, but I will watch this with you because I want to watch something in 4K. What the fuck?
Fair enough. That makes sense.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What were we talking about?
We're up to
Spectral.
So we're up to your number 2 surprise.
Isn't it my number 1?
No, it'll be your number 2.
What?
Oh, wait.
No, my 5 was Jungle Book, 4 Kung Fu Panda, 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2 Arabian Nights.
Sorry about that, yeah, because it's your number 1. Your number 1 surprise of the year.
Pete's Dragon.
Oh, gosh, you were a big fan, weren't you?
It's fucking brilliant, is Pete's Dragon. Maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, because David Lowery did Ain't Them Bodies Saints, and that's not bad, but it's... I don't know. It's just it's quite a special little film. This it's harkening back to a kind of a simpler time of storytelling where a boy and his dragon was enough to propel a film. But the opening is pretty fucking devastating. Basically, when I say devastating these days, I usually mean either loss of a child or loss of a parent.
Yeah.
Like that's the shit that gets me these days because I'm a puss. But yeah, so you've got that. But then I just wanted Pete to be happy. I wanted his dragon to be happy. I wanted Robert Redford to be happy. I wanted Bryce Dallas Howard to be happy. I wanted all the nice people to be happy. For an hour and a half. And it was lovely and melancholy and the action sequences were fun. It wasn't overblown. It wasn't the CG that was there felt absolutely appropriate. And it was just lovely. Lovely film. Pretty much died a death at the box office.
Yes,
and I'm not surprised because unless you've got explosions these days, it seems like you can't be in a cinema.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame, but it is true.
So yeah, my number 1, Pete's Dragon, watch it, because I watched it in the cinema, and in 5 years everyone's going to be saying, like Popstar, everyone's going to be saying I watched it in the cinema, I fucking watched Pete's Dragon in the cinema.
Yeah. Right, well, my number 1 I did watch in the cinema. My number 1 is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
Fair enough.
Which is a surprise because it's a Tim Burton movie. And I usually despise any modern Tim Burton movie with a deep lying passion because, as I mentioned when I spoke just a few minutes ago about the Elephants on Parade, possible garishness of his adaptation of Dumbo is going to produce. I've actually kind of got your words a little bit on that because I expected that from Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and was delighted in the fact that it's not that. It's him making a movie. It's him making the type of movie that he should have been making for the past 20 years, rather than making the garish monstrosities that he's been making. It's fantastically entertaining. It's endearing. It uses CG to enhance its story rather than tell its story. It also uses practical effects to good stead, like Burton did in some of his earlier movies, and things like Beetlejuice and his Batman movies. And it felt atmospheric, like I was watching a Tim Burton movie, rather than Tim Burton essentially getting a group of animators to do his work for him. It's really quite entertaining. I'm actually looking forward to when you yourself watch it, to see what you think, to see if I'm just being a little bit mad, or if it is actually as entertaining as I thought it was.
Nice, fair enough, man. Good on you.
Cool. Right. So, well, we shall get back in to the big ones and do. I think we've got 2 and 3 to do, then followed by our 10 worst movies, and then obviously our number ones. So, Ian, do you want to hit me with your number 3 movie of the year?
Yeah, I've got a feeling this is your number 1. So, The Nice Guys. We'll talk about it later.
It's not my number 1.
Fuck it now. All right. We'll talk about it later, though, won't we?
Shortly, yes.
Yeah.
So
cool.
That's your number 3. My number 3 is Hell or High Water.
Fair enough. Good man.
I was very, very taken by Hell or High Water. What I will say is, absolutely, my 3, 2, 1 are fully interchangeable.
Okay.
Hell or High Water, let's just say, after I rewatched my 1, 2, 3, they could quite easily change places. And then after I've watched my number 2 again, it could quite easily change places again with my number 3, and they could just keep on bouncing around for all time, to be honest. I think this is a really special movie. And I'm not going to bleat on about it again anymore, but the fact that it is a Western, it is a proper fucking Western, set now, not trying to be a stylistic Western or a homage to Westerns, it's just a proper fucking Western. It is men doing men things. And nobody's bitching and moaning, going, "Well, why wasn't there more female characters in it?" It's like, because it's about 2 fucking brothers being chased down by 2 law enforcement officers. There you go. You don't fucking need anything else. It's fun at points as well. It's not all seriousness, but it's fantastically acted from all involved. And again, I think it's slightly criminal that it's not being mentioned amongst more awards buzz. If you ask me, Chris Pine could quite easily get, and quite deservedly should get, a nod for best actor in it. I think he's fantastic in it. Pine has become kind of synonymous with his work in the Star Trek movies, which could easily have been one of my surprise movies of the year, to be honest, because I forgot that they were doing the Star Trek movie. So just a surprise that it existed there. But also, well, I think Taylor Sheridan's script storytelling is fantastic. Last year he gave us Sicario, and this year he's given us this film, and then next year, 2017, so effectively this year, he's going to give us his directorial debut. So I think it's nice, the fact that a lot of our both of our top 10s seem to be helmed by and thrusted by very much a new wave, the new crop of filmmakers or writers or etc. And I think that's quite comforting in the fact that we know that the next 10 years are going to be populated by films made by these people or written by these people. And when everyone says, "Oh, cinema's dying on its arse," and we go, "Fuck off! No, it's not. Oh, I haven't seen enough good films this year." You haven't seen enough fucking films then. The fact is, my top three are virtually interchangeable. My 4, 5, and 6 quite easily in other years. I'd have been comfortable for them to have been my number one movie. But I do think Hell or High Water is a remarkable film, and I think it's one of those films where not in 10 years' time people will be saying that's a fucking great movie, but in maybe 15 years' time people will be going, do you know what was a fucking great movie? Hell or High Water.
Yeah, I've got a feeling we're going to see it pop up in the Oscar nominations. So I think it's
Screenplay.
Gonna, yeah. I mean, like, there's those in the know are kind of saying they could see it sneak for director as well and maybe picture, because it appeals to the white male steak eater populace, which is still a large part of the Academy, and that's it. It's a film that appeals to that demographic, and that's fine because I'm also a white male steak eater.
It shouldn't. Therefore, if that is going to be the tack that they're going to say this is why it's getting nominated, it shouldn't count against it, because the fact is it's a very, 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 very good film. And as well, it's a great point about it that I think I raised when we reviewed it was it has a message. It doesn't try and hide its message from you, but it also doesn't sit down and lecture you about its message and explain it to you and draw you a fucking graph about it. It is very much saying the banks fucked you over. Presidents didn't fuck you over with this. The banks fucked you over, and the reason why the banks fucked you over is because the banks give out so much money to governments to legislate for their own power that the banks are essentially making criminality legal, and that's how they're getting away with it.
Yeah, only going to get worse as well.
And it is only going to get fucking worse. But we're bound to not talk about these things. But if films like this give us the opportunity to do it, then we can. I think it's a remarkable movie. And like I say, on any other year, it could have been my number 2 or 1, or on any other week, month, or day, it could be my number 2 or 1.
Fair enough.
So go on then, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Nocturnal Animals. It's an incredibly striking film, I think. It's one which really floored me right from the start. Best opening titles of the year, for sure. I love how like provocative and playful that is, and it's just Tom Ford just saying, "Here you go." Yeah. And I mean, it's unsettling. It's insanely stylish, but like you said earlier on, like people are just like, he should be dressing people, not making films. But it's like, well, he can dress people impeccably on screen, but also make incredibly tense, visceral stuff, which feels like what Hitchcock might have been making now if he were alive today. The whole narrative within the narrative, and the masculine identity being questioned, and it's got that kind of touchstone to it, I think. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's on almost never better form. Amy Adams doesn't get much to do, but I love what she's doing in there, and the way you can interpret the film in terms of whose viewpoint is this a reliable narrator or not. It's got more going on within it than I think a lot of people have given it credit for, and a great ending as well. It ends as it should. I mean, you talked about it at length earlier on, and I agree. But yeah, not many films have quite taken me on that kind of ride of late and left me just feeling kind of weirded out and uncomfortable when leaving the cinema. It's a very clever film. it knows it's clever, but it still wants to have fun with the cleverness, and it's got some really like horrible, disturbing imagery in it, but then it's also got moments of levity, and Aaron Taylor Johnson on the toilet outside, like you said earlier on. It's I think it's a fucking great piece of work, obviously, because it's my number 2.
Yeah. Right, I'll give you my number 2, and then we'll do our number 1s.
Oh, fucking hell. Right, okay. Cool. Okay.
Before we do our number 1s, we'll do our worst. So, my number 2 is The Nice Guys.
Yeah, fair enough. Good man.
Which, again, like I say, in any other year, could have been that. There is a reason, and when I give my number 1, I'll give the reason for why my number 1 is my number 1 as it stands at the moment above this movie. But The Nice Guys is just a fucking blast. It's everything you want a Shane Black movie to be. It's fun, it's biting, it's cutting, it's got mystery, it's got intrigue. It's Ryan Gosling again poking fun at himself in a way that he can. Also, but I think it's Russell Crowe poking fun at himself, and it's two actors having an absolute blast with each other. It's enjoyable cinema, and I'm so glad that it was as good as I expected it to be.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great little mystery, but the mystery's not really the centre of it. It's the character, and between the 3 main characters as well. I think the daughter is as much a character, as much an important character as Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling there. What's her name in real life? Angourie Rice or
Angourie Rice, yeah.
Yeah. She's very, very good. Gosling is on top comedic form. Crowe is basically just playing a guy who goes through life just like trying not to drink and kind of being a bit of a bully, but with a heart of gold. He's wonderful. It's I was going to say the most entertaining film of the year, and I like it's very, very, very entertaining. Yeah. I will say that. Yeah, I mean we've talked a lot about The Nice Guys, haven't we?
Oh, lost you for a second there, bud.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just saying we've talked a lot about The Nice Guys. I think our feelings are very, very clear.
Yeah. Right. Well, we shall do worse then. So rather than going through this, we'll do run through. So you do your number 10, I'll do my number 10, and we'll kind of rattle through because they're shit films. We don't really talk about them that much. We'll just go through why we think it deserves to be there. So number 10, what's your 10th worst movie of the year?
Now You See Me Too. We talked about it earlier.
My number 10 is Cell, which you
fair enough,
enjoyed, but I just thought was utter crap.
I think quite enjoyed is probably quite strong. I thought it was better than you did.
Yes, we'll go for that. Your number 9.
David Brent, Life on the Road, the most depressing comedy of the year.
Blair Witch is my number 9. It's not a game changer. Stop saying things are fucking game changers, people.
My number 8 is Grimsby. A
movie I will never, ever, ever, ever watch, and I will watch anything.
There's one moment in there which pushes vulgarity so much that almost has to be applauded, but it doesn't. It's not a very good film at all. I don't know what the fuck any of them were thinking.
Yeah. Well, I never know what any of those people are thinking anyway. So is that my number 8 then?
Yeah.
Dog Eat Dog, the Paul Schrader movie. It's just a bad film. There's no thing for it. It's just not a very good film.
Yeah. My number 7 is The Sea of Trees. because it's pretty much as bad as everyone was saying it was.
Yeah. Well, and weirdly enough, my number 7 is Sea of Trees.
Nice. My number 6 is Dog Eat Dog. Yeah.
Right. My number 6 is Sausage Party. How so much talent in one movie and so many great comedians in one movie can produce a movie that's so not very good but thinks it's really, really good. I have no idea.
My number 5 is Sausage Party. It's fucking like that. The fact we're not allowed to have most disappointing ones be on the worst list. Sausage Party really is my most disappointing film of the year. That thing was in my wheelhouse so hard, and all they did was get high and think, wouldn't it be funny if Foodstuffs had an orgy?
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking... Sausage Party is fucking terrible. It was the Guardian's number 10 film of the year.
Ah, fuck off.
Because The Guardian, basically.
That is it. Yeah, it's because The Guardian.
So yeah, anyway, go on.
My number 5 worst of the year is The Purge election year.
I think that's harsh.
I thought it was an absolute... If you take out a good 20 minutes of it, you'd have a better movie. Sadly, it focuses too much on the ridiculousness. It's just terrible. I really didn't get on with that movie. Your number 4?
My number 4 is Dad's Army, the perfect film for a Brexit Britain. Actually, do you know what? We've got a question coming up later on.
Yeah.
My answer is Dad's Army.
I'll give you my answer when we do that later on.
Dad's Army, man. Jesus fucking Christ. The closest thing to an action scene in that film is when someone a cow runs after someone. It's fucking embarrassing.
That is embarrassing. My number 4 worst movie of the year is X-Men Apocalypse.
Wow, okay.
Like they invented a time machine, or like they took the time machine from the last X-Men movie and went back in time to make this movie in 2000. Because they just had better effects in 2000 than we do now in 2016. It's a terrible movie.
The film where the entire plot kicks off because Rose Byrne forgot to put a rug back.
Yeah. Your number 3 worst movie of the year.
Officer Down, the directorial debut of Slipknot's drummer. Yeah. Kim Coates in the only lead role that man has probably ever had, and yet they completely waste him. Looks like it was shot in either stairwells or cupboards.
I think it was.
It's fucking... I don't even know how I made it through that.
I didn't even that long a film, is it?
No, it's like 75 minutes. It's fucking shit. Oh.
My number 3 worst film of the year is... Oh, are you recording? Because my recording's just finished.
I better be.
So that thing when it's got to...
Yeah, it says it's recording. Yeah, go on.
Hour 40. Is The Witch.
Right, okay,
I'm
fine.
not going to say anything about it. I'm going to move on because it's your number 10 film of the year and I don't want to be a dick. So...
I think we reviewed it, didn't we? We did a main review. Yeah, alright, refer to that then. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's my number 3 worst film of the year. What's your number 2 worst film of the year?
My number 2, not to be confused with The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I've heard is not bad. My number 2 is The Corpse of Anna Fritz, which is a film where you very much in detail see a man fuck a corpse, and then the rest of the film is really boring. So you've got objectionably offensive and then really boring. So fuck that film.
Yes, fuck it indeed. My number 2 worst film of the year is Gods of Egypt.
Yeah, okay, well that's fair.
It's just terrible.
It is bad, man.
It's a really bad film.
I've watched some shit because that should be in my top in my bottom 10, but yeah, it's not.
That's staggering.
Yeah.
Go on then. What's your?
My number one is
Of
the
the year.
Fright Fest presents
Oh,
The
I lost you.
Unfolding. Huh?
The Unfolding.
Yeah,
Like one of the ones you watched for review.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and the Corpse of Anna Fritz. To be fair, I volunteer to do these things. I'm not forced to, so it is what it is, and I get paid for it, so fine. The Unfolding. I've got no idea why it's called The Unfolding. I've got little idea what actually happened in that film. Let me pull up my review just so I can remind myself about it. I just remember fucking hating it. Godzilla, The Unfolding. Right. What's Ivan put as the summary? Oh, well, okay. Let's just say one of the things for Godzilla that we have to do is at the end of the review we have to give 3 things and then an out of 10 for those things.
Yeah.
And we can choose what they are, and then the average is the rating that's given. I chose 2, even though we're supposed to do 3. The first was any material worth at all, 1 out of 10. And then, is there any point adding anything, 1 out of 10. Okay. I'm going to read my review really quickly, because it's my worst of the year. A film's title is one of the most important elements in a film's marketing and likely commercial success. A title can offer intrigue or a sign of the familiar, or sometimes it can just leave you feeling entirely nonplussed. It is a warning sign going into The Unfolding that with a title as generic as this, we might not be in for the most illuminating hour and a half or so. One has to imagine those behind the film must have been hoping that it would ask people, what is to unfold, or how much paper is going to be on screen at any one time, or perhaps they felt like playing an inside joke with the next in the series called The Plot Development. Not only is The Unfolding generic, it is also almost admirably defiant in its attempts at utterly boring the living shit out of you. Horror films set in a creepy house in the middle of nowhere, check. Character who becomes seemingly possessed by the presence of the house, you betcha. Heavy-handed attempts to be about something, in this case how the sins of the past can infect the present and the future, good golly, Miss Molly, you're bang on the money. Does it do any of this with any sense of style or panache, though? Well, if you count an inconsistent use of fixed shot security camera footage, more traditionally shot stuff where the security camera you should be able to see doesn't happen to be there, and cutaways aching to be portentous, then your Unfolding is as stylish as Terrence Malick teaming up with Nicholas Winding Refn to make an 80s set, neo-drenched ode to the chasing of the light. For anyone who happens to be sane, however, no, it's not. It feels as if the whole thing is made by a 19-year-old who's done 1 semester out of film school. It also shows absolutely no regard for trying to do anything actively. Bang, boom, crash, smash, ah! Did that scare you? Neither will The Unfolding. Full of loud jump scares and out-of-nowhere booming voices, not an ounce of dread and menace is conjured without the soundtrack spiking up suddenly in a pathetic attempt to try and get you. You can't even laugh at the narrative at the centre of the thing, people making consistently stupid decisions and almost seemingly paying very little attention to outside threats, which are so obviously going to rear their heads later on. There is literally nothing to recommend about The Unfolding. The Unfolding is one of the new wave of films released on VOD through Icon and Frightfest's digital banner Frightfest Presents.
So you didn't like it then?
I didn't like it.
I will not watch that. Right, my number 1 worst movie of the year. I thought about putting this as my biggest disappointment, but then I realised that it wasn't. It was actually probably my worst movie of the year. Because it was such a disappointment, and because I think it's barely a movie, to be honest.
Interesting.
And it comes from one of my favourite all-time directors. It is Terrence Malick's Knight of Cups.
Okay, I did not get to this.
Yes. Did we not review it?
Nah, man.
Did we not? Right. Did I just watch Knight of Cups? Yeah, it's barely a movie. It's
okay.
barely a movie. It's painfully dull. Painfully dull. And it shouldn't be. Terrence Malick shouldn't be making things this dull. It's incohesive. It never tries to make sense. It is It's 2 hours long, and it feels like it's 2 weeks long. It's just honestly, it's painfully done. I'm actually what I would say is don't watch it. There's no reason to watch it at all, at all. It's just uh, it's just not very good. And there's so many people in it. There's so many people in it. You know, when you've got a film and you can some cast of Christian Bale and Brian Dennehy, Wes Bentley, Imogen Poots, Freya Pinto, Kevin Corrigan, Shea Wingham, Jason Clarke, Joel Kinnaman, Dane DeHaan, Nick Offerman, and they're just some of them. When you can get those people in a movie and all you're going to do is just follow around with a digital camera doing nothing, why? It's such a disappointment that he's gone from being one of the most interesting visual storytellers in cinema to being somebody who makes this meandering, self-righteous bullshit. It's just such a shame.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I have not been bothered about seeing a Malick film, I think kind of says a lot for me.
Yeah.
It's absolute. Yeah, it's terrible what he's doing. It's like he needs the time in between films to just
Yeah.
actually make them good. You know, it's yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I suppose I can't say, but I trust you on
Yeah,
that.
it's. The thing is, I absolutely wish it was fantastic, but it's not.
No, yeah, 100%, of course.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of Miss Peregrine's for me, that.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, okay then, Ian. Your number one film, as if it's a surprise.
Yeah, no, I mean, fuck, man, anyone who follows me on social media will know this. La La Land.
Right, my number one movie of the year is La La Land.
Good man.
And
Okay,
before we
fantastic.
get into it, because essentially we're going to review it as well, the reason being why I picked this as my number one over The Nice Guys and Hell or High Water is because I think this is a movie that the start of 2017 needed.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Fuck, yeah.
It is the movie the start of 2017 after how horrible 2016 was for almost humanity. You know,
Mm.
and I'm not saying that. Well, I'm not saying that everybody had a terrible year in but I think generally the world got to be a nastier place overall in 2016. That I think that a movie like La La Land and all it represents, and we'll get into it. It isn't all fucking stardust and candy floss for the movie. It's actually quite melancholy in places, but it's also very joyous in places. And the fact is that is his second film, is it, or his third film?
Third
Third
film, yeah.
Displays that we have when it's this and his previous film to this with Whiplash, we quite simply have a filmmaker where it's quite right to get seriously excited about. Ian.
Yeah, he's doing a fucking biopic of Neil Armstrong with Ryan Gosling next, so
Ian,
that'll do.
I really, really like La La Land. It's my number one film of the year. However, I'm going to hand over to you because you really like La La Land.
Yeah, man. La La Land left me with a feeling coming out of the cinema that I haven't had since I watched Sunshine. A kind of a feeling that almost like it's kind of no point watching films anymore because they're not going to do for me what that just did. It was an, I don't know, I'd like just, it's an absolutely perfect synthesis of respect and love for cinema up to this point, while also feeling utterly fucking contemporary. But it also feels like in 50 years' time, it's going to work just as well. Excuse me. Thank you. It's an insanely special film, I think. Chazelle was already in my good books anyway, and here he becomes like Danny Boyle for me because of Sunshine. I will go see anything this person does, even if the subject matter is utterly, utterly anti what I want to watch. If Damien Chazelle makes a 9-hour remake of Uncle Boonmee Who Recalls His Past Lives, I will watch it because it's Damien Chazelle doing it.
Yeah.
It's... I don't know. It's... The last 10 minutes are utter perfection. I mean, I think the whole film kind of is, to be honest. Again, I mean, weirdly enough, like Manchester by the Sea, it kind of feels like this is a slice of people's lives, and they will continue going forward even though the projector stops. I don't know. It absolutely staggered me. And I mean, to be fair, I think that if you're not as invested in films, then it might not have that same effect. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I was recommending it to people in work last week, and I know a few were planning on seeing it this weekend, so conversations could be interesting in work tomorrow. But it's one that I do just kind of want to grab people and say, you fucking need to see this. And it was shot on film, they've already announced the 4K Blu-ray, and I am all over that fucker like no one's business.
It benefits massively from being shot on film.
Yeah, it does. It's palpable. Like with Silence, it's there. Now that we don't have nearly as many films that are shot on film, when they are, it's there.
You notice it so much more.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, fuck, if I could have seen this projected in 35mm, that would have been amazing. But it is what it is. The songs are fantastic. All spoilers all the time. I love the way that Ryan Gosling plays this kind of this dreamer who sells out slightly, but because of Emma Stone, he's still comfortable with the selling out, but he still manages to kind of reset and get back on his path by the end, which I think is lovely. And just the fact that last 10 minutes or so, they obviously hadn't seen each other in years, and then all that, she sees him, he sees her, and then that whole alternate thing plays out.
The what if was it was magnificent. It was. I had tears in my eyes for it, and I thought it was a spectacular sequence.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's dearie me. I've talked plenty. Go ahead.
I was so excited for La La Land because it looked like a whimsical, fun, a musical that wasn't. The thing is, what we've had from musicals in recent years, modern day musicals, are either things like Les Mis, where they're based on actual musicals. So we get that, and every 5 years you get a different version of fucking Phantom and things like that. Or they're musicals where they're specific musicals, they're genre piece musicals. Whereas this year we had both Hail Caesar, which couldn't quite call itself a musical. It's a film that has a few musical numbers within it. Whereas this is it's a musical, and like you say, it feels contemporary, but it also feels quite. It's never poking fun at the fact that it's a musical. It never winks at the camera or anything like that. But it's so well crafted and so well put together, and it's, you know, Whiplash was critically very, very successful. It won Academy Awards, and it did well at the box office. So Damien Chazelle was kind of given, what I want to do this. And can you imagine him sat there pitching and saying, I want to, off the back of Whiplash, I want to make a romantic comedy musical, a rom-com musical, and I want to call it La La Land, and I want to cast these people in it. They must have been going, okay, right, you know that 50, 60 million we're going to give you? We're just going to give you 30 now. Okay. And then he's delivered what quite simply is one of the most impressive and confident and just, here it is, here's what I can do. I don't give a it's the scene where they're in the observatory, and he lifts Emma Stone up and they glide up into the sky. Brilliant, fantastic. It's magnificent, and it would be quite easy to just get it wrong, to just get that wrong, and to go for you to be watching it going. Set in the real world, but set outside of the real world. It's turned up to the clock face isn't on 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's on 6, but maybe not quite 6. It then ventures into 4, and then it spins round to almost 9 in terms of the reality you're getting. Both the leads are magnificent. It helps the fact that they're both incredibly charismatic. You do believe in their story, you do get involved in it, and it's, like you say, accidentally, it's not all candy floss and sunshine. There is a kind of, Ryan Gosling's character seems to sell out because he thinks it's what's best for them. He thinks it's what she wants, but we don't get that. You don't get that. Him saying, "Well, this is what you want." He does say it, but you never get her saying, "Why did you think that?" or anything like that. It's just he overhears her talking to her mother, and then that happens. But then he realizes that actually he likes that. He likes where he is, but then, like you see, he does manage to get back round to where he wants to be. It's just a joy to watch, which is nice. It's nice to have that feeling of something that's so much fun to watch and so nice, and the music is fantastic. The couple of keynotes that we get throughout it, where they're the follow throughs throughout it, are brilliant. It's a staggeringly confident and a staggeringly well executed movie, and like I say, it's number one on my list because I think it's the movie we needed at the start of 2017 to kind of put a bit of fucking joy back in the world, and that's what this film does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Even though, like you say, it has got the melancholy to it as well. I mean, it just the kind of the staging as well. I mean, it kind of I think it kind of does its musical stuff most heavily in the first half hour or so, and then you've just got the odd one or two a bit songs every now and then, but the Another Day of Sun at the start, the whole choreography of that is insane.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool. One of my AirPods has run out of battery. I'll just stick it in for a charge. Yeah, there we go. Sorry. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, the choreography of that is nuts. It feels like a kind of an old school musical in that way, and then the what's the song the Emma Stone with her girlfriends, like Another Face in the Crowd, I think it's called, or something like that. The way the camera's roaming there, and when it goes into the pool, and I mean it's fantastic, and I think maybe is it a bit of a Boogie Nights reference going on there as well? I mean, Chazelle is a student of cinema, and I like listening to kind of Oscar podcasts. Like in LA, he's basically kind of known as the new Tarantino in terms of his kind of encyclopedic knowledge of cinema. And it kind of does seem like he could turn his hand to anything. Because I mean, he did Whiplash and he did this, but he also wrote Grand Piano, and he did like the first like story treatment for what became 10 Cloverfield Lane. So yeah, he's got a lot of fingers in a lot of different pies, but when he actually puts his mind to it, it seems like shit. This is the kind of thing he can come up with. It's like you said earlier on, it's insanely assured and confident, and just having the belief in yourself to be able to pull something like this off is, I mean, it's actually otherworldly to me. I mean, rather inspiring as well, frankly. I mean, Gosling and Stone, I think, are perfectly cast against each other. I mean, it was interesting because earlier on in development, they were talking about it being younger people, because Miles Teller was originally attached, and there was some scuttlebutt there where some say Teller demanded more money, even though he's very much publicly said that's bollocks. Others are saying that the studio wasn't feeling very comfortable with him, but by extension that might have been Chazelle. But I think with Gosling and Stone, the age there is, they're not the fresh young faces. They are the people who are still young, but in the kind of the Shark Tank of LA in which they live, they're practically OAPs.
Yeah.
And I like I like the weirdness of that, and I think that is perfect as a result. Also, I mean, like Ryan Gosling's relationship with John Legend in the film, I think is really interesting. I mean, there are people backlashing against La La Land because it's a white film and the only major black character in it is someone who is basically the devil on Gosling's shoulder. No. The devil on Gosling's shoulder is essentially society telling him that he needs to give up on his dreams and settle, even though he's settling for still a pretty cushy gig.
Yeah.
That the whole the rampant need to backlash against something, and if there's a race angle there, play it, is in this case absolutely fucking redundant. I mean. Yeah, I mean, John Legend's character, Gosling's character has some beef with Legend's character, but once they get past that initial thing, that's not even mentioned again.
It's never explained what the beef is between them, and it's already established that that Ryan Gosling's character can wind people up quite easily.
Straight up,
so
yeah.
There is that there. Yeah, you said that's just fucking knobheads trying to be knobheads.
No, exactly. So yeah, I think it's a remarkable film. It's one which I'm gonna very much take to my heart, and yeah, I don't know how much more I have to say, because all it is really is fawning.
Yeah, I don't have that much more to say other than the fact is that it's every bit as good as everyone says it is. It really is a joy to watch, and I am going to see it again this week. I'm going to say about to see it because she mentioned she wanted to see it.
Ace, brilliant.
I think it's a film where it's nice to experience that at the cinema. So I think Bex is out on Friday night, so she's going out with a friend. So I'm going to take Isabel to see this and then take her out something to eat. That is my Friday night there. I'm done. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to doing that.
Sounds good.
Cool. Right, we do have a couple of questions. So yeah, so that was our before I get into the questions. Yeah, I think it was a great year for film. I think every year is a great year for film. I think this year was particularly strong. Really, you know, any one of my top 6 really any year could have been a number one. I think we've got a genuine classic in La La Land as both of our number ones. I think we've got a few films in there that I think over the years will get more and more traction there. And I struggled with my worst 10. That is what I struggled with most. And when you're struggling to name your 10 worst, but you can quite easily name your 15, 20 best, I think that's a great year.
Yep, I think it's been a cracking year. I think it was better than last year, and I remember saying last year that people were saying it was a poor year, and I was telling people to get over themselves. So
there probably never will be a bad year in film because there are so many creative people who
have the obsession and talent to make great movies, and great movies keep on getting made. So unless a man fucking burn orange decide to bomb Hollywood, it'll still keep on happening. So we have two quick questions. Andrew Jones, BS at Ethan Ruts on Twitter says, if you had to choose one film that's summer 2016, not released the year, but one in tone, a story, what would be the film?
Dad's Army.
Dad's Army, yeah. Salo on 121 Days of Sodom would be mine.
Very good. Sweet popcorn all the way.
I used to always be sweet, and then somebody once said to me, when we were doing the film nights, I think it was a few years ago, the film nights we were doing, somebody, again, me once, that was it, asked me, we got a bit of popcorn, somebody said, oh, could I have a bag of half sweet and half salty? And I went, what fucking fresh hell is that?
Yeah.
And then after he went on for something like that, and the film started, I thought, right, I'm going for this. So I tried mixing up everything, shove it together, and it together. It was like, that's the way popcorn should be eaten. It's the sweet and the salty together. It's just incredible. So it's both. The answer is both. It is the only answer you can have. And now you can get a lot of places do similar stuff, but a lot of places do the bags of sweet and salty popcorn. So yeah, it's both. It's the answer.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah. Ian, what are we covering next week?
So we're going to do some triple exploitation.
Yeah.
We're going to do all three Triple X films.
We are, yes. Yeah. So, in the space of a couple of months, we're going to do all of the Triple X films and all of the Resident Evil movies for you people.
Yeah. That we are.
Yeah, you don't get that on the podcast, do you? Yes, so that was our end of year review show, or our 2016 best of show, as it's no longer in the end of year. We hope you enjoyed it. I always enjoy doing this show. It's nice to kind of look back at what was great, and it's great to be able to listen to say, fucking hell, there's that and there's that, and I always end up from like 6 weeks after it rewatching all of the shit that's on my list, and then picking up the ones that might have been on sort of Ian's list that I've missed out or anything like that. So
Yeah, so.
yeah, 2017 obviously once my work situation calms down, we're hoping to get a little bit more out on the website along there, but yeah, it's going to be another big year I think for doing the monkey, isn't it? And we've also got the pay forward podcast as well to go inside, coincide with it and everything like that. So
Yeah.
we're doing a lot more for us this year, and thank you much for listening in 2016, even though it's 3 weeks into 2017 nearly.
Fucking right.
Yeah. Doingthemonkey at gmail.com, doingthemonkey.com, at Ian Laurie, at doingthemonkey, at doingfoz. Is there anything else I need to add, Ian, or shall we go?
I think not. Thanks for listening, folks, and we'll see you for some Vin Diesel Ice Cube action next week.
Ice Cube. See you soon. Cool, I am a gun, eat like a motherfucker.
Nice. Enjoy.
Cool, good shot, man.
Cheers, mate. Nice one.
Speak soon, mate.
Cheers, man. Take